"Uncle, would you like to come into my house to get out of the rain? It's pouring out here," Annie called, taking a few more steps toward the man standing beside the black SUV. "Uncle Richard, come inside our house. You're soaked." Richard Whitmore looked up at the sound of her voice. Through the curtain of rain, he saw Annie standing a few yards away, one hand gripping a dark blue umbrella tilted over her braided hair. Half of her shoulder was already wet from the wind constantly blowing rain against her. Richard did not answer immediately. Water streamed from his graying hair onto his forehead, slipped beneath the collar of his expensive dress shirt, and soaked coldly into his skin. His coat, briefcase, and dry change of clothes were all locked inside the rear compartment of the SUV after an electrical failure had left the hatch unable to open. He held one hand out in front of him, palm facing upward, as though he needed to confirm for himself just how hard the rain was falling. Within seconds, water pooled in his palm and spilled between his fingers. Richard looked at Annie, trying to keep his voice composed. "No, thank you. It's only rain. It will let up soon." He lowered his hand. "I'm not going inside." Annie remained where she was. The determination in her eyes suddenly reminded Richard of Daniel, his late older brother. Years ago, whenever Richard insisted that he did not need anyone, Daniel had looked at him the same way. "Uncle Richard, it's been raining this hard for almost an hour," Annie said. "Mom already turned on the heater. You can come in, dry off, and have something warm while you wait for roadside assistance. You don't need to stand out here just because you and my mother haven't spoken in a long time." Richard turned his head toward the small house at the end of the walkway. Warm yellow light from the kitchen window glowed through the rain, inviting enough to make him uncomfortable. He had avoided that house for far too long. Avoided the woman who lived inside it, the woman who had once been Daniel's wife, and avoided everything he had never been brave enough to face after his brother died. A blast of icy wind suddenly swept across the road and struck Richard from the side. His drenched shirt clung tightly to his chest. The cold made him shudder violently. He rose onto the balls of his feet without thinking as water flooded into his leather shoes, then folded his arms against his chest, hugging himself in a futile attempt to hold on to what little warmth remained. For that brief moment, the man who always appeared in newspapers as powerful and untouchable looked strangely small beneath the pounding rain. Beside the SUV, Samuel Carter, Richard's executive assistant, wiped the water from his face with a soaked sleeve. His teeth were chattering from the cold. Samuel groaned softly, his shoulders trembling. "Mr. Whitmore, perhaps we should go inside Miss Annie's house. I know you wanted to wait out here for roadside assistance, but it is freezing." Richard turned sharply toward him. "How much longer did they say?" Samuel lowered his head and tried to shield his phone beneath the lapel of his jacket, straining to read the screen through the streams of rainwater running down his hands. "The tow truck is still delayed, sir. The dispatcher said the storm has backed up calls throughout the area. They said it will be at least another hour before they can get here. Possibly longer." "Another hour? I'm afraid so." Samuel rubbed his trembling hands together, then let out another strained groan through his uneven breathing. I'm freezing all the way through, sir." Annie raised her voice over the rain hammering the pavement. "Uncle Richard, please come inside. This rain may not stop anytime soon. You can wait for the tow truck and the house just as easily as you can out here. No one is asking you to stand in the storm." Richard clenched his jaw. "Annie, go back inside. Leave me here. If you stay out much longer, your mother will blame me for letting you get drenched." "Mom already knows I came out here," Annie replied. "She saw the car stopped by the road and told me to bring an umbrella out and invite whoever was stranded inside. She didn't know it was you." The words silenced Richard. Grace had sent Annie out to help a stranger before knowing the stranded man was Richard, the brother-in-law she had every reason never to want to see again. Despite all the years of silence and hurt between them, her first instinct had still been not to leave someone standing alone in the cold rain. Beside him, Samuel suddenly shivered so violently that he began stamping his feet on the flooded road. Water splashed up around his already soaked shoes. "Oh, dear God, it's cold." Samuel wrapped both arms around himself and looked at Richard almost pleadingly. "Sir, please, let's go inside Miss Annie's house. If we stay out here much longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to feel my fingers anymore." Richard turned toward him irritably. "Samuel, why are you acting so weak? It's a little rain and cold air. You cannot handle that?" Samuel lowered his head, but this time he did not have enough strength left to swallow his frustration. "Perhaps you are the unreasonable one, sir," he muttered. "There is a warm house right in front of us, and you are insisting on standing in the road arguing with a dead car." Richard narrowed his eyes. "What did you just say?" Samuel immediately lowered his voice. "I said the car is not going anywhere, sir." "Then call roadside assistance again," Richard ordered. "Tell them I refuse to stand out here for another hour. Tell them to send someone immediately." Samuel nodded quickly. "Yes, sir, I'll call them now." He lifted the phone and tapped the screen. Nothing happened. Samuel pressed it again, harder this time. Rainwater poured across the glass and dripped down his wrist. "Come on," he whispered, hurriedly wiping the screen against the front of his soaked shirt. "Please, come on." Richard's patience snapped. "What now?" Samuel held down the power button. The screen remained black. "I can't turn it on," he said, his face paling. "I think the rain got inside it." Richard stared at him in disbelief. "You let the only phone we had left working get ruined?" Samuel looked up, his voice now carrying both exhaustion and resentment. "I was trying to call for help while standing in the middle of a storm, sir." For several seconds no one spoke. Rain pounded against the roof of the SUV. Water rushed from the roadway into the gutter, curling in muddy streams around the tires. Richard's phone had already died earlier. Samuel's phone had now gone dark as well. The expensive vehicle sat cold and motionless beside them, nothing more than a useless block of metal in the storm. Another powerful gust of wind swept through Richard, cutting straight through his soaked clothes. He gritted his teeth and tried to endure it. But his body betrayed his pride. His shoulders shook uncontrollably. His jaw tightened. His hands curled at his sides in a useless attempt to preserve warmth. Anger surged through him, because being angry felt far easier than admitting he was shivering and helpless. Richard stepped toward the SUV and kicked the front tire hard. His wet shoe slipped slightly with the movement, sending a sharp pain through his foot, but the vehicle remained dark and silent, as though mocking him. "Useless piece of junk," he muttered through clenched teeth. Annie watched him, her umbrella trembling in the wind. When she spoke again, her voice was no longer insistent. It had softened. "Uncle Richard, the car can wait outside. You do not have to." Richard slowly turned toward her. Annie continued, "My mother may not be happy to see you, but she would never leave someone freezing and soaked on the side of the road when there is a warm room only a few steps away." Samuel gave another miserable little groan. Sir, at this point, I am willing to endure anyone's anger as long as it comes with a dry towel." Richard looked at Samuel, then at Annie, and finally passed her toward the house with its lights glowing warmly through the rain. Inside that house was Grace Whitmore, Daniel's widow. The woman whose husband had died before Richard had managed to set aside his pride and ask his brother to come back. The woman whose front door he had not found the courage to approach for years, because he had never been brave enough to offer the apology she deserved. He still wanted to refuse. His pride was already forming the words in his throat. But then his body shook again, so violently this time that Annie clearly saw it. Richard drew in a deep breath, the cold slicing painfully through his chest. "Only until the tow truck arrives." Annie nodded immediately. "Of course, only until then. Mom already made soup." Samuel let out a breath of pure relief, and almost immediately hurried closer to Annie, trying to squeeze beneath the edge of her small umbrella. It was clearly not large enough to cover all three of them, but the thought of a warm house ahead seemed to bring him back to life. Richard remained beside the SUV for a few final seconds. Rain poured over his face, heavy and bitterly cold. He looked at the broken-down vehicle, then at the flooded road, and finally turned his back on both. He followed his niece toward the house. As they reached the front steps, the door opened. Grace Whitmore stood in the warm light spilling from the kitchen, one hand holding a neatly folded dish towel. Silver now touched the hair at her temples. Her gaze moved from Annie to Samuel, who was shivering uncontrollably, and finally settled on Richard. For a moment, no one spoke. Annie swallowed. "Mom, Uncle Richard's car broke down. He and his executive assistant have been standing outside in the rain waiting for roadside assistance." Grace remained still. Richard expected anger, a cold remark, or at the very least a look ordering him off her porch immediately. Instead, Grace slowly stepped aside and opened the door wider. "Come inside before both of you get sick," she said. "Leave your wet shoes beside the mat. Annie, get some more dry towels." Richard stared through the open doorway into the house he had avoided for so many years. Warmth from inside touched his freezing face. The smell of hot soup drifted out from the kitchen. And for the first time in a very long time, he had nowhere left to hide from everything he had left behind. Then, trembling from far more than the cold, Richard Whitmore stepped inside. The warmth inside the house reached Richard before anything else did. Hot air rose from an old floor vent near the entryway and brushed against the soaked legs of his trousers. For a moment, the cold buried deep in his body seemed to sharpen, as though he had only just realized how badly he had been freezing. Rainwater dripped steadily from his hair, sleeves, and pant cuffs onto the rug by the door. Grace looked at the puddle spreading around Richard's leather shoes.
Honey, be a dear and get some towels for our guest.
Could you get me 2 towels from the
Quickly
linen
now,
closet,
he's soaking wet.
Yes, Mom. Annie hurried down the hall. Richard bent down to remove his shoes, but his fingers were so stiff from the cold that he struggled with a tightly knotted lace. Grace noticed, but said nothing. She simply set the dish towel she had been holding on the small table near the door and stepped aside, giving him the space he needed to hold on to what little dignity he had left. Annie quickly returned with 2 large towels. She gave the first one to Samuel,
Here you go, wrap this around you.
Whose shoulders were trembling violently, then turned to Richard. Here you go.
Are you all right?
Uncle Richard. Richard took it and wiped the water from his face and hair. His voice was much lower than it had been outside in the rain.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That
Annie.
means a lot.
She paused slightly, perhaps
This way,
surprised
please.
by how gentle his
End of the
gratitude
hall,
sounded.
first door on the right for
But she
dry
only
towels.
nodded and stepped over to help Samuel. Grace pointed
Use the
toward
downstairs
the end of the hallway.
bathroom first.
There is a bathroom downstairs.
And honey,
Samuel, you can
there's
go
an
in
old
there and dry
sweatshirt in
off
the cedar
first.
chest. You can
Annie,
get him.
Find him one of the old sweatshirts.
The clothes in
the
this cedar chest
She
belong
paused
to my
briefly
dead
before
father.
adding, your father's clothes are still in there. Richard lifted his head the instant he heard those words.
She kept a few of his
Annie
sweaters.
noticed the change in his expression.
And some of the work
Mom kept a
shirts.
few of Dad's things.
They're still
she
here if you
explained.
want them.
Mostly sweaters and work shirts he used to wear around the house. Samuel looked toward Richard, uncertainty plain on his face. Perhaps he was not sure whether wearing Daniel's clothes in front of Richard would
You
make
surely
the
don't
atmosphere
wish
in
to
the
sit at
house
my
even
dinner
more
table
uncomfortable.
dripping on the floor.
Grace immediately settled the matter for him. Unless you would prefer to sit at my dinner table in
You can
clothes
use the
that are
shower
dripping
here.
onto the floor. Samuel tightened
There are
the
clean
towel around
towels
his
inside.
shoulders and nodded quickly.
This means a lot.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
A dry sweatshirt would be wonderful right now. Thank you. Follow me, Annie said. She led Samuel down the hall. His wet socks made soft, squishing sounds against the wooden floor, and each step caused him to wince from the cold. Once they disappeared from the living room, Grace turned back to Richard. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. From the kitchen came the bubbling sound of soup simmering on the stove and the soft murmur of a radio playing an
You're
old
still
soul
shivering.
song.
I said
Richard
I'm fine.
recognized the melody,
I'm quite all
but
right.
he could not remember its name. Perhaps Daniel had listened to it years ago.
He used to insist
or
he
perhaps
was
Richard was
fine,
only trying to
while
find
making
some trace of his
everything
brother in
harder than it
everything
needed
inside
to
this
be.
house. Grace studied him for a moment before speaking.
Did you really think
are
you could
still
just walk
shivering.
back in here
Richard
after all
pulled
this
the towel
time?
across the cold, damp collar of his shirt. I'll be fine. Grace let out a faint breath that was not quite a laugh. You used to say that all the time. Then you would make everything more difficult than it needed to be.
It should fit.
Richard looked at her. He could not tell whether she meant this cold, rainy evening or all the years that had passed between them. Perhaps she meant both. Grace walked to the narrow cabinet beside the stairs, opened the door, and took out a neatly folded gray sweater. She held it in her
Was
hand
this
for a
his?
few seconds before turning and offering
Was this
it to
Michael's
Richard.
sweater?
This should fit
Yes,
you.
it was, honey.
Richard did not take it immediately. Near one cuff was a faded stain.
I can wait for
worn
my
pale
clothes
by
to
years
dry.
of washing.
You
The sight of
cannot.
it suddenly brought back an image of Daniel in their father's yard, kneeling beside an old pickup truck.
You are
grease
freezing.
on his hands,
I am not
laughing
going
as
to
he
watch
tried
you
to
catch
repair
pneumonia.
something Richard had
Put this
insisted
on
should
now.
simply be thrown away and replaced.
He wore
Richard's
this for
voice grew
ordinary
hoarse.
chores,
Was
raking
this his?
leaves and fixing a
Grace's
kitchen
hand
cabinet
remained
hinge.
steady.
It feels
Yes,
less sacred now,
I can wait for
and
my
more
clothes to
painfully
dry.
alive.
No, you can't.
My late brother would not
voice
want
was
this
not
sweater
harsh,
locked in a
but
closet
it
while
left
his
no
younger
room for
brother stood
refusal.
freezing.
Your shirt is soaked through.
The clean
and your lips
sweatpants are on the
turning
hook in
pale.
there.
She offered the sweater
They
to
were
him
Thomas's.
again. It is only clothing, Richard. Daniel wore it to rake leaves in the yard and fix the loose hinge on the kitchen cabinet. He would not want it sitting in a closet, while his little brother stood here freezing. Richard slowly accepted the sweater. Thank you, Grace. She pointed toward the end of the hall. The bathroom is over there. There is a clean pair of sweatpants hanging on the hook. Those belong to Daniel, too. Richard almost refused again. Then he saw the weariness on Grace's face. She had opened her door to him, given him a dry towel, offered him the clothes of the husband she had lost. She had already done far more for him than he had any right to expect. He simply nodded and walked into the bathroom. The small room smelled faintly of soap and laundry detergent. Richard closed the door, but he did not change immediately. His eyes stopped on a framed photograph hanging beside the mirror. In the picture, Annie was about 10 years old, smiling widely with one front tooth missing. Daniel stood behind her, both hands resting on his daughter's shoulders. Grace stood beside them, smiling gently at the camera. They were a whole family in the moment that photograph had been taken, and Richard had not been there, just as he had not been there for almost everything that came afterward. He lowered his head, slowly removed the cold, soaked shirt from his body, then pulled Daniel's sweater over his head.
The hot
The
tea
old
is
wool
saving my
brushed
life.
softly against his neck. The sleeves fit almost perfectly. That made
This
Richard
is simply
stand still for
unprofessional.
several more
I
seconds.
expect better.
Yes, I know.
His hands closing around the hem
I
of
brought
the
you both
sweater,
some fresh ginger tea with
unable to
honey.
decide whether the feeling comforted him or hurt him more. If this moment touched your heart, please like this video, comment where you are watching from, and subscribe to our channel to see whether
The
Richard
widow
can
did not
finally
have to
make
do all
peace with
this
the
for me.
family he left
No,
behind.
she did
When he
not.
returned to the living room, Samuel had changed into a navy blue sweatshirt
Mom made a
with faded
huge
lettering
batch of
across
chicken
the
soup for
chest.
the neighbor, but there's
Haven
plenty
Ridge High
left over
School
for all of
football.
us.
Annie had already hung both men's wet clothes.
She
in a
always
drying
claims she
rack
wants
near the
one bowl but
fireplace.
eats two.
She moved quickly and quietly.
Her arthritis
as though
always
welcoming two
worsens when it
rain-soaked men
rains. You know
connected to
how
an
it
old
is.
family wound were simply an ordinary part of her evening. Samuel was holding a steaming mug in both hands. Mrs. Whitmore made tea for us, sir, he said gratefully.
I do not want to impose.
You
This
sit
is
down and
truly
eat
saving
before the
my
soup
life.
gets cold.
Richard heard the relief too clearly in Samuel's voice, and nearly reminded him to behave with a little more professionalism. But just then, Grace came out of the kitchen carrying another mug. Ginger tea with honey, she said.
Do you
handing
travel
it
with
to
my
Richard.
uncle often?
Drink it while it
Yes,
is hot.
quite a bit.
Richard accepted the mug. The
We were
heat
just
from
down in the
ceramic
cities last
seeped into
week.
his frozen fingers. Painful
This
at
is the first
then
business trip
gradually
ending with
comforting.
me wearing
You did
another
not have to
man's
do
high
all of
school
this for
football
me.
sweatshirt.
Grace looked directly into his eyes. No, I did not.
Do you still live in Chicago?
She turned away before
Do you live
Richard
alone?
could say
Sarah.
anything more. Annie
Yes, I
came
do.
to the dining table and set down
And
four
yes, I
bowls.
live alone now.
Mom made chicken soup for
That
Mrs.
next
Jenkins
fall
this
she plans to
afternoon,
apply to
but there is
nursing
still plenty
programs
left.
close to home.
Mom always makes
so
too
she can
much.
keep helping
From
her
the
mother.
kitchen, Grace called back.
So you're
That
set
is
on
because
becoming a
Mrs.
nurse.
Jenkins
I
always
watched Mom
claims
take
she
care of
only
Dad when
wants
he was
one bowl,
sick.
and then
She
ends
made
up
him feel
eating two.
safe,
Annie
even when a
laughed.
cure wasn't
She lives
possible.
at the end of the street. Whenever it rains, her arthritis gets worse.
He said he
so Mom
regretted not
usually brings
seeing you
food over
before
to
the
her.
end.
Richard watched Grace carry out a tray of cornbread covered with
Would
a
you
clean
mind giving
towel.
Mr. Williams
The
some
woman
more
he had avoided
cornbread?
for years had not
It's
only
good
opened her
sustenance
door
for
to
the
him
evening.
in the rain. Before that, she had been
It's a
preparing
good sweater.
food to care for an elderly neighbor.
He wore it all the
I don't
time.
want to impose on you, Richard said.
We're really
Grace
glad
set the
you're here
tray
with
in the
us,
center
Uncle.
of the table. Then sit down and eat before
Your
the
father
soup
must
gets
have been
cold.
very proud of
Samuel
you.
lifted his tea to his mouth.
He always
clearly
was.
trying to hide a smile. Annie pulled out a chair for Richard. He slowly sat down. For the first few minutes, the room held only the soft clink of spoons against bowls and the steady sound of rain tapping against the window panes. The soup was simple, made with chicken, carrots, celery, and thick noodles, but it warmed Richard from the inside in a way the tea in his hands had not yet been able to do. Annie was the first to break the silence. "Samuel, do you travel with my uncle often?" "Quite often," Samuel replied. "Although this is the first time a business trip has ended with me wearing someone else's high school football sweatshirt." Annie looked at the sweatshirt and smiled. "It suits you." Samuel glanced down at the faded lettering across his chest. "I'll take that as a compliment." Richard caught the briefest curve at the corner of Grace's mouth, almost a smile, before she lowered her eyes to her soup again. Annie turned to Richard. "Do you still live in Chicago, Uncle Richard?" "Yes." "By yourself?" Grace
Since
looked
you
up.
left
"Annie,
me
I was
here,
only asking."
the days
Richard set
feel
his spoon
so
down, took a
long.
sip of tea,
I
then
try to.
answered, "Yes, I live alone." Annie nodded, as though the answer confirmed something she had already suspected. "Next fall, I'm going to apply to nursing programs. I want to study close to home so I can still help Mom." Richard looked at her. "You want to become a nurse?" Annie smiled faintly, but her eyes immediately softened. "I watched Mom take care of Dad when he was sick. She made him feel safe, even on the days when everyone knew there was nothing more anyone could do to make him better." Richard's spoon stopped halfway through his bowl. The radio continued playing softly from the kitchen counter. Outside the window, rain kept striking the glass. Grace lowered her head, But when she spoke, her voice remained steady, as though Annie's words had not just brought any memories back to life. "Annie, get Samuel another piece of cornbread, please." Samuel started to say he had already eaten enough. But after one quick look at Grace's expression, he wisely held out his plate. "Thank you, ma'am," he said quietly as Annie placed another piece on it. Richard looked down at the gray sleeves covering his arms. Daniel's sweater, Daniel's house, Daniel's daughter, speaking about her father's final days with a tenderness Richard had lost the right to share a long time ago. At last, Richard spoke, his voice lower and heavier than before. "Your father must have been very proud of you." Annie looked directly at him. "Yes," she said quietly. "He always was." Richard could find nothing to say in return. Outside, the rain still fell heavily, beating against the roof without pause. But inside that small kitchen, Richard knew the chill making him tremble no longer came from his wet clothes or the flooded road beyond the door. It came from sitting in the middle of the life his brother had lived without him, wearing Daniel's sweater, eating soup in Daniel's home, and facing the people who had learned how to go on without Richard at all. Samuel Carter's phone
Yes,
rang
I'm
just
here.
as Annie began clearing the bowls
What
from
is
the
it?
table. The sound was so sudden in
Has
the
the board
quiet
arrived
room
yet?
that Richard looked up before his executive
Yes,
assistant even
confirmed.
reached for
We
it.
are stranded.
Samuel
The black
Carter
SUV
pressed
is
the
disabled
screen
about
and
10
stood,
miles out.
moving a few
We are
steps
secure
away
for the
from
moment, but
table.
the storm is
Yes.
complicating recovery.
This
The road is
Carter.
blocked.
We're with
They
the
said
disabled
assistance
black
can't reach us
SUV
tonight.
off Mill Creek Road.
Okay.
He listened, his expression changing.
What is it? Tell
"I
me
see.
now."
"No,
It's the
I
storm.
understand.
They can't get
Safety
through.
first."
The road is blocked.
After another pause, he said, "Call me as soon as the road is cleared."
A
and
fallen
ended the
tree
call.
near the bridge and
Richard
high
set
water
down
have
his
blocked the
mug.
road, and no
Well,
tow truck can get
Samuel
through until
Carter
tomorrow
hesitated.
morning at the
The
earliest.
tow truck cannot get through tonight. A tree came down
I have
near
a
the
board
bridge,
meeting in
and the road crew
Chicago.
will not start
Do you
clearing it until
understand?
the water
I
drops.
cannot be
How
stuck
long?
here.
Tomorrow morning.
We could
at the
arrange a video
earliest.
call with the
Richard
office
pushed
later,
back from
assuming the signal
table.
improves.
The
And
chair
let
scraped
Davies
against
use
the
this
floor.
outage against
"I
me."
have a board
No,
meeting
I
in
need to be there in
Chicago."
person
"I
now.
know, sir. I can contact the office
The
and
weather
arrange a
did not
video
ask
call,
the rival
assuming the
executive's
signal
permission.
improves. Victor will use this." Samuel Carter did not argue.
You don't understand what is
Yes,
at
sir.
stake here.
I understand
He probably
exactly
will.
what men
Grace
call
picked up
important
the
when they
empty
want
soup
to
pot and
avoid
carried
other
it to the
truths.
sink. "Then I suppose Mr. Victor will have to be disappointed that the weather did not
Pardon
ask
me, I
his
was wondering if
permission."
there might be a motel
Richard
close
glanced
by.
at her. "You don't understand
The only
what is at
motel in
stake."
town has
Grace
12
turned on the
rooms and
faucet.
is likely
"No,
already
Richard,
full with
I
flood-displaced
understand
residents.
exactly what men are willing to call important when they do not want
We
to think
thought it
about
best if
anything
you
else.
take the couch,
The kitchen
and
went
perhaps
still.
your assistant wouldn't
Annie
mind the
held
study
two
down the
bowls
hall.
against her chest, looking from her mother to her uncle.
I'll just
Samuel
take the
Carter
couch.
cleared his
The
throat.
study has a daybed, and the
Mrs.
couch is
Whitmore.
closer to the heater.
If it is not too
Uncle
much
was
trouble,
shivering worse than you earlier.
perhaps there is a motel nearby.
I do not need
The
special
only
arrangements.
motel in Haven
You
Ridge
need
has
sleep
12
and
rooms,
dry
Grace
clothes.
said.
Neither counts as
Half
special
of them
treatment.
were filled before dinner by people whose basements flooded. The other half will be filled by now. Richard let out a quiet breath. He felt trapped by rain, by dead roads, by a sweater that belonged to his brother, and by a woman who no longer softened the truth for him. Annie placed the bowls beside the
Grandma
sink.
never wasted fabric
Uncle
if there was
Richard can
enough
sleep on
left
the
to keep
couch.
someone warm.
Mr. Carter can use Dad's
She
old
used to
study.
save shirt sleeves.
Samuel Carter shook his head
Do you
quickly.
remember?
"I can
Yes,
take the
I do.
couch. The study has a daybed."
Yes, I do.
Annie said. "The couch is closer to the heater, and Uncle Richard was shaking worse than you were." Richard looked at her.
I will
"I
call
don't need
Chicago
special
first thing in the
arrangements.
morning.
You need sleep," Grace said without turning from the sink. "And dry clothes. Neither is special treatment." Annie went to the hall closet and returned with a folded quilt and 2 pillows. The quilt was made of
Do you
uneven
remember how
squares
she used
in
to
navy,
save the sleeves from the old
cream,
shirts?
I
and
do.
rust-colored cloth. Richard
Every
remembered
single
one like
one.
it on his parents' guest bed when he and Daniel were boys. "My grandmother made this," Annie said as she spread it across the sofa. "Dad said she never threw away fabric if there was enough left to keep somebody warm."
I'll call Chicago
Richard ran
first
his
thing in the
fingers
morning.
over one of the worn squares before he could stop himself. "Your grandmother used to save the sleeves from his old shirts." Annie glanced at him. "You remember?" "Yes." He withdrew his hand. "I remember." Samuel Carter followed Annie down the hallway with another blanket tucked under his arm. Before disappearing into the small study, he turned back toward Richard. "I'll call Chicago first thing in the morning, sir." Richard nodded. "Do that." Grace dried her hands on a towel, then began checking the lock on the front door and switching off lamps. She moved through the room with the practiced rhythm of someone accustomed to ending the day without anyone
He had already
asking whether
started
she needed
treatment when
help.
that was taken.
Richard stood near
He
the
looked well,
fireplace
though.
mantel.
He only tried to look
Several
well for his
framed
daughter.
photographs rested there. Annie
I didn't
in a
know how far
graduation
the
gown,
illness had progressed.
Grace with her arm around her daughter.
You didn't know
Daniel
because you
holding
weren't
a string
there.
of Christmas lights and laughing at something outside the frame.
My brother
Richard
could have
lifted
reached
the
me.
photograph of
He
Daniel
did.
before he realized he had decided to touch it. His brother wore a plaid flannel shirt, older than Richard
After the
remembered him.
oncologist said the cancer
Thinner
had
through
spread,
the face,
he
but
called your
happy.
uncle's office
Richard
and left a
searched the
message
picture
asking for
signs
him
of
to call
illness,
back.
Then felt ashamed for looking.
I never received
he
the
had already
message.
started treatment then.
But he called again
Grace
on his
said behind him.
birthday,
Richard
hoping that
replaced the
particular
frame
day might
carefully.
make you answer.
He looks well. He tried to
Handle
look well
it.
for Annie. I didn't know
Now,
how far it had
regarding the
progressed.
capital allocation
Grace gave a
strategy.
short, tired laugh with
Yes,
no
the
humor in it.
projections certainly
You
look
didn't
favorable.
know because you were not here. Richard turned. Daniel could have reached me. He did. The words stopped him. Grace walked past him into the kitchen.
My office should have
Richard
told me it was
followed more
urgent.
slowly.
Your office did
Annie and
exactly what you
Samuel
trained it
Carter
to
were no
do,
longer
keeping
in the
family
room.
from interfering with
Though
business.
Richard sensed Annie might not be far away. What do you mean he did? Grace rested both hands on the edge of the counter. After the oncologist told us the cancer had spread, Daniel called your office. He left a message asking you to call him back. Richard frowned. I never received that message. He called again on your birthday. He thought you might answer that day. A memory moved through Richard.
What is this?
A birthday dinner
It's
in
a
New
letter
York
he
with
wrote just
investors.
before he died.
His old assistant mentioning several personal calls
wasn't
he
it
had not
sent?
returned. He had waved them away before the
At
appetizers
first, I was too
arrived.
busy keeping
Grace
my
studied
husband
his face and
comfortable,
seemed to
then
understand
later
he
too
remembered enough.
angry.
My office should have told me it was urgent.
After the funeral,
he
she
said.
decided a
Your
man
office
who had
did
not
what you trained
answered
it
his
to
living
do,
brother
Grace
did not
replied.
deserve his final words.
They kept family from interfering with business.
I
Richard
wanna read
opened
the
his
letter.
mouth, then closed it.
I'm sure you
the rain
do.
had softened slightly, but it still tapped the windows with patient insistence. Grace walked to a drawer beside the refrigerator and opened it.
If you wanted to
From
know what
beneath
your
a
brother
stack of
had to
recipe
say, you
cards
should have
and
answered
unopened
while he was
envelopes,
alive.
She took out a cream-colored envelope. The edges were worn, as though it had been handled many times and never sent. Richard saw his name across the front in Daniel's handwriting. His chest tightened. What is that? A letter
Sorry
your
to
brother
interrupt,
wrote
but
2 weeks
here is
before
the
he
charger.
died. Richard stepped
Let me know if
closer.
you need anything else.
Why didn't you send it?
I was wondering if I
Grace
should
held
arrange
the envelope
transportation
against
for
her
you
palm.
once the road
At
opens.
first, because I was busy keeping him comfortable. Later, because I was angry. After the funeral, I decided a man who had not answered his living brother did not deserve his final words.
I can't.
I want to read it. I'm sure you do. Grace. She looked at him for a long moment, grief and anger held together by years of restraint. Then she placed the letter back in the drawer and closed it. If you wanted to know what Daniel had to say, Richard, you should have answered while he was alive. She turned off the kitchen light and went upstairs. Richard remained beside the closed drawer, unable to move. After a while, Samuel Carter appeared at the hallway entrance, now carrying his phone charger. Sir, he said quietly, would you like me to arrange transportation as soon as the road opens? Richard looked toward the staircase, then at the drawer containing his brother's unopened letter. Not yet, he said. Richard did not know when he finally slept. One moment he was sitting in the dim living room, listening to rain move over the roof and staring toward the kitchen drawer. The next, morning light had spread across the floorboards, pale and colorless under a sky still filled with clouds. For a few seconds he forgot where he was. Then he felt the scratch of Daniel's sweater against his neck, saw the quilt folded over his knees, and remembered the envelope with his name written in his brother's hand.
The fields are brown now, the summer's gone, but the the river flows on forevermore, just like the times we knew before.
Oh, what a beautiful morning, the pancakes are in the sky. I've got a wonderful feeling.
Richard rose from the sofa and walked into the kitchen. Grace stood over a cast-iron skillet, turning eggs with a spatula. Annie was placing buttermilk biscuits into a basket lined with a towel. Samuel Carter sat near the window with his phone connected to a charger, waiting for enough power to call for an update.
His older brother
stopped in
never knew the
doorway as
second verse.
chorus played again. Daniel never knew the second verse, he said. Grace's hand paused over the
You
skillet.
really remember that?
Annie looked at him,
Are you sure?
surprised. You remember that? She asked.
His
Richard
older
gave a
brother
small
sang
nod.
loudly
He
enough
sang it
to make
loudly enough that
forgetting
forgetting
impossible.
would have been difficult. For the first time since he had entered the house, Annie
He
smiled
always sang the
without
song
caution.
wrong, and Mom would
Dad
correct
still
him.
sang it wrong.
But he'd just smile
Mom
and say
used to
his
correct
version
him.
was better.
And he'd say she was ruining his version.
My husband
Grace
believed
turned off the
confidence could
burner.
make up for being
Your
off-key.
father believed confidence could
He
make up
believed
for
that
being
about many
off-key.
things.
He believed that about a lot of things.
You can sit down now.
Richard
Breakfast
said.
is ready.
Grace looked at him then, and for a moment there was something in her expression that belonged to years before anger, when Daniel was alive and Richard had still been welcome in this kitchen. It disappeared as quickly as it came. "Sit down," she said. "Breakfast is ready." Richard took a place at the table.
You might want to have that coffee,
Annie
sir,
set
before
down
we get into the
scrambled
update
eggs,
on the stranded
bacon,
vehicle.
biscuits, butter, and a jar of blackberry
Roadside
jam
assistance
with a
reached the
handwritten
area,
label.
but only part of the
Samuel
fallen tree was
Carter
cleared,
poured Richard
and the
a cup
creek
of
has
coffee.
overflowed near the
"Thank you,"
bridge,
Richard
making the
said.
road unsafe.
Samuel Carter nodded.
No tow
"You may
truck will
want it
cross
before I
until the
give you
water
update."
recedes. Likely
Richard
not
looked at
before
him.
tomorrow morning.
"That bad? I reached roadside assistance 10 minutes ago. The road
The
crew
bridge
cleared
closure
part of the
affects
tree,
all
but the
incoming
creek
drivers.
overflowed
Nothing is
near
getting
the
in
bridge.
or out. Then get me a
They will not
helicopter.
bring
I
a
am
tow
not
truck
staying
through
here one
until
more
the water
day.
recedes.
Would you really
When?
send a pilot into
Tomorrow
storm
morning is
weather
their
just
best
because you
estimate.
cannot bear
Richard
spending
stared
one
at him.
more day in your late brother's
Tomorrow?
house?
I asked twice,
please.
sir. Richard pushed
I
his
told
coffee
you, I have
aside.
obligations,
Arrange
important
another
things I have to
vehicle.
do.
The
I had
bridge closure
obligations
affects any
too, yet
driver
I didn't
coming from
leave
the
you
highway.
standing on the
Then
road.
arrange a helicopter. In this
Mom,
weather?
maybe we
Grace
should just
asked,
wait.
setting her own plate on the table.
Everyone eat your
You
breakfast
would
now.
put a pilot
It's
in
getting
the air
cold.
because you cannot tolerate staying one more day in your brother's house? Richard's jaw tightened. "I have obligations." "So do I," Grace said. "I still managed not to leave you standing on the road." Annie lowered her fork.
Put on your shoes.
"Mom," Grace drew a breath, then sat.
Why?
"Eat before it gets cold."
You cannot
Richard
understand
knew
what
an order
happened
when
here
he
from
heard
my
one.
kitchen table. The
He
truth
spread
is
jam on a
outside,
biscuit.
on the land.
Though he had little appetite. It tasted of blackberries and sugar, familiar in a way that made him uncomfortable. The meal continued in strained silence until Grace finished her coffee and rose from the table. "Put on your shoes," she said to Richard. He looked up. "Why? You wanted to
He
understand
planted
what
it when our
happened
daughter
here.
was born.
You cannot do that from my kitchen
I
table."
once received a
Outside,
photograph.
The rain had softened to
Many
a
things
fine,
were sent.
steady fall. Richard put on his damp shoes
wanted
and
to move
followed
the
Grace
access
through the back
road.
door.
Well, this
Annie
is it.
remained inside with Samuel
This is the
Carter,
boundary line.
though Richard saw her watching them through the window.
This lane will be
Grace led him
widened for
across
truck
the porch
traffic.
toward the yard.
They'll put
Wet
loading
grass
yards right
brushed his
there,
trousers.
and harsh lights
Beyond
will
the
burn
garden
all
stood a
night.
small storage shed with weathered red
He
siding.
warned that the project would
Beside
change
it,
everything
a maple
about
tree
this
had
place.
lost most
It
of
would
its
have
leaves.
increased the property's
Daniel
value.
planted that when Annie was born, Grace said. It was
The
barely
value
taller
would have
than
been
he was.
his,
Richard
not the
looked
man
at
who
the
wanted
tree.
his daughter
He
to
sent
sit
me
on
a
this
photograph.
porch and remember where
He
she
sent
came
many
from.
things. The correction was quiet.
I
but
believed
felt
he
it.
refused because
Grace
he
pointed
resented
toward
my
a dirt lane
success.
beyond the shed.
That's
It
not the
ran
truth,
beside the
and we both
property
know it.
and curved toward the county road.
Your brother
That is
was
the
proud
access
of
route
you.
your company wanted widened. Truck traffic through
And that
here,
pride
loading
made the
yards
betrayal
beyond the
hurt
field,
more.
Lights through the night. Daniel told
After
you
the
it would
parents
change
died, my
everything about
husband
this place.
stayed, cared
It
for
would
the
also
house,
have
repaired the
increased
shed,
value of the
paid the
property.
taxes, and looked
To
after the
you,
land while you
Grace
built a
said.
life elsewhere.
Not to the
When this
man who
place
wanted
became
his daughter
useful to your
sit
company,
on this porch and remember where she came from.
You stopped seeing
Richard
it as your
slid his
brother's
hands
home.
into the pockets of the sweatpants he had borrowed.
When my
I
husband
thought
became
Daniel was
sick, he
refusing
came
because
home
he
from
resented my
chemotherapy to
success.
more attorney
Grace
letters,
faced him.
deadlines, and threats of court
Daniel
instead
was
of
proud
peace.
I
That
never
was
intended
part of
it to
what made
happen that
hurt
way.
so much.
You-
The rain struck the leaves above them.
You
in
intended
small,
to win.
steady taps. When your parents died,
And
Daniel
he did
stayed
not
here.
cause the
She
illness.
continued. He
But
cared
he
for
made
this
a
house.
dying man
He
fight his
repaired the
own
shed,
brother when he should have
paid
been
the
holding his
taxes,
daughter's hand.
Looked after the land. You left and built something impressive. No one blamed you for that. But years later, when this place became useful to your company, you stopped
I'll
seeing
transfer
it
the
as
land
his home.
interest, pay
Richard
the
did not
mortgage,
answer.
cover your
Then
tuition,
he got
and
sick,
settle all the
Grace
medical
said.
debts.
He would come home from chemotherapy and find another letter from your attorneys.
You are not making it right,
Another
only making
deadline.
it quiet.
Another reminder that if he did not sign, you would force the issue in court.
Justice is
I
not
never
fair
intended
when the
for it to
person who
happen that
caused
way.
the hurt gets
You
to
intended
decide what the
win.
hurt is
Her
worth.
voice did not rise. You did not give Daniel cancer, Richard, but you made a
Mother,
dying man fight his own brother.
please
when he
don't
should have been
pretend he
holding his
isn't still
daughter's hand.
standing out there in the
Richard looked
rain.
away toward the wet field. His chest felt tight, as if cold air had lodged beneath his ribs. After a moment, he said, "I can transfer my interest in
I
the land to
apologize for
Annie.
the interruption,
I can
but an
pay off the
emergency meeting
mortgage,
has been called for
her
this
tuition,
afternoon.
whatever she
What's
needs.
happened, Mark? Are you all
Medical
right?
debts, if there are any left.
They want
I can
Haven
settle
Ridge
those
confirmed
today."
before the vote,
Grace
sir.
gave a tired shake
come to
of her
this.
head. "I am trying to make this right." "No, you are trying to make it quiet." She stepped closer. "Justice is not fair when the person who caused the hurt gets to decide how much the hurt is worth." The back door opened behind them. Annie stood beneath the porch roof, arms folded against the cold. "Mom," she said gently. "Dad wouldn't want us to pretend Uncle Richard is still standing out in the rain." Grace closed her eyes for a brief moment. Before anyone could speak again, Samuel Carter appeared behind Annie with his phone in his hand. Sir, he said, Victor Lang has called an emergency meeting for this afternoon. He wants the Haven Ridge project confirmed before the investors vote. Richard turned toward the dirt lane, the maple tree, and the house his brother had tried to protect. For the first time, the project no longer looked like land. It looked like a choice. Richard remained in the yard after Grace and Annie went inside. The rain had thinned enough for him to hear water dripping from the bare branches of the maple tree. The dirt lane ran past the shed toward the county road, plain and narrow, nothing like the clean lines on the development maps he had approved in Chicago. On those maps, the lane had been marked as access. The garden had been marked as usable acreage. The house had been a structure in the path of expansion. He had never seen the tree Daniel planted for Annie. Samuel Carter stepped off the porch, holding Richard's phone.
I used the roadside assistance app to pinpoint the location. The remote unlock failed, but I was able to recover the phone near the vehicle.
Victor's
office has sent 3 emails in the last 10 minutes, and the meeting is set for 2 o'clock.
Richard did not turn. What are they saying? That the investors
What are the emails saying? Investors need reassurance because Victor believes your decision about Haven Ridge has become personal. It is personal.
Samuel
Personal
Carter
is not an
studied him.
answer investors will find
That is
comforting.
not an answer they will consider comforting. Richard looked back at the house. Through the kitchen window, Grace was putting breakfast dishes away while Annie dried them. Neither appeared to be speaking. He wondered how many quiet mornings they had spent like this.
Find out
after
exactly
Daniel
what
died,
Victor plans to
doing what
ask
needed
for.
doing because
If
Grace
Victor
did not
mentions
pay
Grace
electric
or
bills
Annie,
fill a
I want the
refrigerator.
exact words.
Find out exactly what Victor plans to ask for, Richard said. Yes, sir. And Samuel Carter? His executive assistant paused. If he mentions Grace or Annie, I want his exact words. Samuel Carter nodded and returned inside. Richard stayed by the shed until the damp cold began working
Is the
through
soup for
Daniel's
Mrs.
sweatpants.
Jenkins?
The older
When he
woman's
finally
hands
went
hurt
back
too
into the
much in this
house,
weather to cook.
Grace had changed into dark jeans and a thick sweater. She
Are you
stood
really
at the
going
kitchen
out in the
counter
rain?
filling a plastic container with the remaining
Mrs.
soup.
Jenkins lives at the
Mrs.
end of the
Jenkins?
road, not in
Richard
another
asked.
state.
Grace looked at him briefly.
I can
Her
drop
hands
these off
hurt
at the
too much
center
in
on
this
my
weather
way.
to cook. You're
What
going
about
out
that
in the
essay,
rain?
Annie? It's
She
due
lives at the
tomorrow.
end of the road, not in another state. Annie appeared with
I can
a
handle
canvas
it, Grace.
tote
I already
bag
said
and
I can
placed
do both.
biscuits in a
Hang on, let me
smaller
get that.
container. I'll take it, Mom.
I can take the
You
food
have your
downtown myself,
scholarship essay
Annie,
to
honestly.
finish. I can do
I only
both.
mean you shouldn't have to
Grace
go out
started
again
to
if I can be
object.
useful.
But
Mrs.
Richard
Jenkins
spoke
has known
first.
this family
I'll
for
carry
40
it.
years and will
Both
ask
women
who you
looked at
are
him.
before you reach
He
the porch.
immediately realized how it sounded.
Knowing Daniel's
As though
brother is
carrying
not
soup a
always
few
the same
houses
thing
down
as
might
knowing
balance
him.
an old cruelty. I mean, you shouldn't have to go out again if I
Then
can be
perhaps I
useful.
should start
Grace
somewhere.
slapped the lid onto the container. Mrs. Jenkins has known this family for 40 years. She will ask who you are before you make it past
Grace,
her porch.
child, don't just
I
stand
assume
out there
she
in the
knows.
cold. Come on in.
She knows
It's
who
so
Daniel's
good to
brother
see you,
is,
Mrs.
Annie said
Jenkins.
quietly.
We just got back.
That isn't always the same thing as knowing you. Richard
Daniel's
accepted
brother
the tote
has
bag from
finally
Grace.
found the road home.
Then perhaps I should start somewhere. The three of them walked along the
I'm
roadside
Richard Whitmore,
beneath
James's
two
brother.
umbrellas.
I know who
Richard
you
carried
are.
the soup close to his
Your
chest
brother
while
spoke
Annie stayed
kindly of
beside
you
her
longer
mother,
than many
Mrs.
thought he should.
Jenkins lived in a small
How's that
blue
nursing
house with a metal
application
ramp
coming
leading to the
along?
porch. Before Grace could
Your
knock,
father always
the
said
door
you had
opened.
more sense
An
than both
elderly
your
black
brothers
woman
put
leaned on
together.
a cane, her silver hair covered with a scarf. Grace, honey, I told you not to come through this mess for me. And I told you I was making
How
soup
long has it been
anyway.
leaking, and why
Grace
hasn't it been
replied.
fixed yet?
Mrs. Jenkins noticed
Roofs,
Richard
medical
behind them.
treatments, property
Her
taxes,
expression
applications.
changed, not dramatically, but enough.
I
Well,
could have helped.
she said.
You could have.
Daniel's brother finally found the road home. Richard could not think of an answer that did not sound inadequate. He held out the bag. Mrs. Jenkins, I'm Richard. I know who you are. She took the bag from him with
So,
one hand.
do you plan to stay near Haven
Daniel
Ridge?
spoke kindly of
A good
you,
nursing
longer
program
than
is
some
about an
folks thought
hour
he should.
away. And
Annie
if I
looked
receive
down.
enough aid, I can
Mrs.
commute.
Jenkins's face softened
You should apply
when she
wherever you
turned to
want,
her.
Annie.
I
How
am
is that
applying
nursing
where I
application
want
coming,
because
sweetheart?
Mom shouldn't have
I'm
to be
still working
alone
on
just
the
because
essay.
I go to school.
You'll get in. Your
Her
daddy
father
used
taught
to
her
tell
loyalty.
everybody in church you
He
had
taught
more
her
sense
people
than both
matter more
Whitmore
than
brothers put
plans.
together.
He
Annie
used to say
laughed
that when
despite
letters from
herself.
your lawyers
Grace
arrived,
smiled, and Richard
they
felt
told
the
Mom she
absence
should
of
sell
his
the
brother
house,
move between
that
all
a
of
big
them
company
without
could do
turning the
more
moment
with the
bitter.
land.
Who
As
said
they
that
walked
to her?
back, Richard noticed a stack of old lumber beside the shed.
Although the grievance
and a
is
tarp
true,
tied over a section
Richard
of
does
roof
not
near
need
the rear
every hurt
porch.
recited
Does
as
the roof
punishment.
leak? He asked.
Perhaps he does.
Sometimes, Grace said.
Punishment
Why
is
hasn't it
easy,
been repaired? She gave
but
him a level
understanding
look.
what he
Because a
did
new
and
roof
changing
costs money,
because of it
Richard.
is harder.
Daniel's treatments cost money.
The Chicago office
Property taxes
says
cost
Victor
money.
wants formal approval
Annie's
for the Haven
applications
Ridge
cost
access
money.
project during the
I
2
choose
o'clock
what
meeting.
needs paying first. I
Victor
could've
has
helped.
told investors
Yes,
any
Grace
hesitation
said.
from Richard
You
would
could
be an
have.
emotional
Her answer ended
response
the subject
rather than a
more
business
effectively than Ava
decision.
would have. Inside,
What happens if I
Annie went to
refuse?
the dining table
Richard,
and opened a
the
laptop
consequences
beside
for
a
the
folder
company
of
would be
college
significant.
brochures.
We need to
Richard saw
consider
forms
all
for
options.
financial aid,
Victor may
community
challenge your
college nursing
leadership and
programs,
damage your
and a
control of the
handwritten
company.
list of application deadlines.
You do not owe
You
them
plan
the
to stay near
destruction of
Haven
your
Ridge?
life.
He asked. Annie nodded.
While he may
There's a
not
good
owe them
nursing
the
program
destruction
an
of his
hour away.
life,
If I get
he may
enough
owe
aid,
them the
I
end
can
of a
commute.
decision that should
You
never have
apply
become his
wherever you
life's
want.
business.
I am applying where I want. She met his eyes. Mom shouldn't have to be alone just because I go to school. Richard pulled out a chair.
Welcome,
across from
everyone.
her.
We're running a few
Your
minutes
father
behind,
taught you
but the
loyalty.
connection seems
He
strong
taught me
now.
people matter more than
Let's review the
plans.
agenda for today's
She
meeting.
hesitated.
I can join the meeting from
He
the
used to say
kitchen
that
with
when the
audio
letters from the
first
lawyers
and camera
came.
only
Richard
if the
lowered
connection
his eyes.
stabilizes.
Annie continued, not unkindly. After Dad died,
It dried well enough.
some people told Mom she
The
should sell
collar
this
was
place.
curled, so I pressed
They
it for
said it
you.
was too much house and land for just the two of us.
I
One
will
man
not
said a
teach
big
my daughter
company
that
could do more
kindness
with
should
it
be
than she
saved
ever would.
only for people who
said
never
that?
hurt them.
It doesn't matter. He wasn't the only one who thought it. Grace entered with folded laundry in her arms. Annie, it's true, Mom. Grace set the clothes on a chair. It is true. But
Rural
your uncle
Illinois
does not
nearly
need every
swallowed
grievance
Richard.
recited as punishment. Richard looked
My
at her.
vehicle broke down in the
Perhaps I
storm.
do. Grace held his gaze.
The Haven Ridge access
Punishment
map
is easy.
streamlines the entire development.
Understanding
By
what you
removing
did
these older
and
structures,
changing
we
because of
maximize
it
the land value and
is
improve
harder.
traffic flow.
Samuel
The
Carter
unresolved
came in from the
matter
living
is the
room,
family
his
parcel.
expression restrained.
The widow may
Sir,
need
I
time
have
to
spoken
accept
with the
that
Chicago
sentiment has
office.
no
Victor
economic
wants formal
value.
approval to
Complicated
proceed
for
with the Haven
whom?
Ridge Access Project
I'm
during the
warning
2
you,
o'clock
Victor,
meeting.
don't ever
He has already
speak
told
about my
several
family that
investors
way.
any hesitation on your part would be an emotional response.
Richard,
not a business decision.
we need confirmation
Richard
now.
looked through the window at Daniel's tree bending
This
in the
uncertainty
rain.
is costing
What happens
us.
if I refuse? He asked.
The Haven
Samuel
Ridge
Carter
Access
answered
Project
carefully.
is terminated.
Victor will challenge your leadership. He may have enough support to damage your control.
This loss
of the
is
company.
unacceptable, Richard. We
Grace
can't
remained
simply
still
absorb
beside
this.
the
I understand the
folded
depth
laundry.
of that loss better now than when
You
I
do not
approved it,
owe us the
Victor.
destruction of your
Sometimes
life.
clarity comes at a
Richard
cost.
turned to her.
The family does
No,
not live on a
he
parcel
said,
but lives
but
here.
I may owe you the end of a decision
believed
that
I
should
valued
never
a
have
truck
become
route
my
more than
life's business
family.
in the first place.
And he was
For the
right.
first time,
The company
Grace
will
had no
withdraw all
immediate
claims,
reply.
easements, and development
Outside,
plans connected
the
to
rain
Grace and
kept
Annie's
falling
home,
on the
and
land
any
Daniel
remaining
had
interest
fought
in
to
my
move
name will
to his
transfer to
daughter.
them without
While in the
condition.
kitchen, his brother prepared to decide whether
No one
losing
from my
power
company
was
will
worse than
ever try to
losing his
take the
family
house
twice.
again.
By 1:45, Grace's kitchen no longer looked like a place where a family ate breakfast. Samuel Carter had placed his laptop at one end of the table, angled toward the window where the wireless signal was strongest. A legal pad, a charging cable, and a mug of coffee sat beside it. Richard's damp suit jacket hung over the back of a chair, still not fully dry. I can join from here, Richard said, standing near the sink
Audio
in
first,
Daniel's
Samuel.
gray sweater.
We'll enable the camera
Audio
feed once
first.
the connection stabilizes.
Camera only when the connection stabilizes. Samuel Carter
Richard,
glanced at the sweater.
about the sweater.
Sir,
I
they
just
may
worry
ask
the board
why you
might
were
find it
dressed that way.
unconventional for
Then
today's
they will
meeting.
receive their first honest answer of the day.
The board
Annie,
will receive
seated
their
near the
first
far end of the
honest
table with
answer
her
of the
scholarship
day.
pages gathered into a folder, looked up. Grace had been folding laundry in the living room, but she returned carrying Richard's pressed shirt. It dried well enough, she said. The collar was curled. Richard stared at the shirt in her hands.
Richard, the
He did
shirt
not have
dried
to
well
press it.
enough.
I know. She laid it on the chair beside him. Richard lowered his voice. Grace,
I will
am
not
not
teach
trying to
Annie
turn
that
this into
kindness
something
should
it
be
isn't.
saved
Neither
only
am
for
I.
people who never
You have a
hurt
meeting.
us.
You should look presentable. She paused.
I'm
Annie
just
is
getting the
watching
connection
us.
ready now. Hold on one
I
second.
will not teach my daughter that kindness should be saved only for people who never hurt us.
The board is
Richard
ready.
had no answer
Welcome,
for that.
everyone. Good afternoon.
He took the shirt and went to change. When he returned, Daniel's sweater was folded over his
As of
arm.
today,
He
the
placed it
Chicago
carefully
office
on
will
the sofa
oversee
before
all
sitting at
regional
the table.
operations.
Annie noticed
We
the care
understand
he
this
took
is
with
an
it, but said
adjustment,
nothing.
but the decision is
Samuel
final.
Carter leaned toward the laptop.
We were starting
They
to
are
worry
ready,
that
sir.
perhaps
The
rural
screen
Illinois had
brightened.
swallowed you
Several
whole,
faces
Richard.
appeared in neat boxes.
Good to see you're still with us.
Board members in offices
The vehicle broke
overlooking
down in the
Chicago,
storm, but Samuel
two
already
outside
informed your
investors,
office. We have the
corporate
situation
counsel,
under control.
and
Understood,
Victor Lang
Richard.
at the
Thank you.
center. Victor wore a navy suit
This
and a
decision is
controlled
critical,
expression that
Richard.
Richard had
We
once
can't let
valued
personal
in a
inconvenience
negotiator.
interfere with the Haven
Richard,
Ridge timetable.
Victor said,
The moral
"There you
obligation
are.
here is
We
to
were
the
beginning to
project.
wonder whether
The terms are
rural
clear.
Illinois
We
had
just need the
swallowed you
approval to
whole.
move forward.
My vehicle broke down in the storm.
Proceed.
Richard replied. As Samuel Carter informed your office.
As you can
Of
see
course,
here, The proposed freight access road streamlines the entire loading route.
Still,
This dramatically increases truck volume. The environmental impact is minimal, and the structures currently occupying lots 4 and 5 will be cleared to make way for the access road. The Haven Ridge connection gives Whitmore Freight direct access to the corridor. The only unresolved issue is the family parcel, requiring Richard's confirmation.
There may be some hesitation.
Richard knew it well.
I suggest Richard is only emotionally affected because he is stranded near the property. As you can see, the volume projections for the consolidation are excellent.
And profit estimates.
But what about the family,
What he had
Samuel?
never noticed before
What about Grace?
was how cleanly the map erased the house behind him. The shed outside the window. The maple tree Daniel had planted when Annie was born.
As you can see
agreed,
from the
Victor
analysis,
said,
the Haven Ridge connection secures our
Haven Ridge
position in the
connection
market.
gives Whitmore
The projected
Freight direct
profits
access
underscore
to
the
the
long-term
proposed
benefits for
distribution
everyone
corridor.
involved. While we sympathize with the
unresolved
family
matter is the
situation,
family
we
parcel.
must consider
Since
the
your
optics.
company's interests and your
This
personal
scholarship
interest
is a
overlap,
significant
we
investment for the
require your
firm.
confirmation
I
that the
appreciate
land
your
arrangement
concerns,
will
truly.
proceed.
But
One
this
of the investors
hesitation is
cleared his
merely a
throat.
reaction to the
We have heard there may be
circumstances.
hesitation.
The deal stands
Victor
as
gave a
presented.
small practice
We
shrug.
understand the hardship,
Richard is
but the
temporarily
foundation
stranded
views
near
these
the
localized
property.
scholarships as
Family history can
liabilities.
make any situation
The optics
feel
of
more
maintaining this
complicated than it
program are
is.
proving difficult.
Grace's face did not change.
Before we
But
continue,
Annie's
perhaps
fingers
we should
tightened around
define
her
who
pen.
exactly
Richard
this
said,
situation is complicated for.
whom? Victor blinked. I'm
The people's
sorry?
home appears
For the
on the
people
map
whose
as
home
an
appears on
obstacle,
your map as an
forcing the
obstacle.
remote board
Victor
to
leaned
confront
back
what the
slightly.
project truly
This is
threatens.
not about anyone's home.
It's merely
It is
an
an
access
access
agreement.
Your late
The widow
brother
needs to
declined a
accept that
favorable
sentiment
offer.
has no
His
economic
widow may
value.
need time to accept that
I'm
sentiment
sorry,
does not
but we
create
cannot make
economic
exceptions
value.
based on sentiment.
Richard heard
The
Grace
scholarship
inhale
is
behind him.
contingent on maintaining
Annie
a
looked up
spotless
now,
reputation.
anger plain on her
That is
face.
enough,
Do
Victor.
not speak about
You will
my
not
family
talk
that
about
way,
my family
Richard
that
said.
way.
A silence passed through the call. Victor's smile thinned.
The
Richard,
investors
I
require
meant no
reassurance.
offense. But our
Private
investors need
emotions will not be
reassurance that
allowed
private
to
emotions will
overturn
not
years
overturn
of meticulous
planning.
planning.
We
Confirm
need
the project
confirmation on the
today,
project right now,
and
Samuel.
we can move forward
Your silence
without
isn't helping.
uncertainty.
Is the
Samuel
project
Carter kept
confirmed
his
or
eyes on
not?
the laptop, but Richard could see the tension in his jaw. This was the moment Victor had built for him. Choose the road, the votes,
Richard,
the company's confidence.
everyone is waiting.
And return
We need
to
a
Chicago,
decision now.
still in command. Richard turned his head toward the rain-darkened window.
I've made my decision.
Beyond the glass stood the shed.
The Haven
Daniel
Ridge
had
access
repaired
project
himself,
is
and the
terminated.
maple tree whose roots held the yard in place. At the edge of his vision,
I
he
cannot
saw
believe
Grace's
you
hand
just said
resting on
that.
the counter,
The connection
and
must
Annie's
have distorted your
scholarship
words,
folder beneath her
Richard.
palm.
We are
Richard,
not shutting
Victor
this
prompted.
down.
The
We are
connection
waiting.
did not
Richard
distort
looked
my
back at the
words.
screen. The Haven Ridge access
I understand the
project is
loss better
terminated,
now
he
than
said.
when I approved
For
the
several
project.
seconds, the only sound in the
A
kitchen
decision
was the
of this
refrigerator
size
humming.
cannot be made
Victor
because you
leaned
shared a
forward.
meal
I
with
assume the
emotionally
connection
attached
distorted
people.
what you just said. It did not. Do
They
you
are not
understand
attached
the
to a
loss
parcel.
attached to
They
that
live here.
decision?
And his
I
late brother
understand more
died
about
believing
that
he
loss
valued
today
a
than
truck
I did
route
when
more
I
than
approved the
family.
project. Victor's voice
You
hardened.
actually confessed your
A
personal
decision
regrets
of
to the
this size
investors.
cannot be made because
I'm
you
curious,
happen to share
what
a meal
exactly
with
did you
people
hope
who
to
are
achieve with
emotionally
that
attached to a
transparency?
parcel of land.
Take this down
They
for
are not
corporate
attached to a
counsel.
parcel,
We are
Richard
beginning the
said.
formal
They live
withdrawal
here.
of all
My brother
claims,
died
easements,
believing I
and
valued a
development
truck route
plans
more
tied
than
to
his
Grace's
family.
residence.
He was right.
Any remaining
Grace
interest
turned
held in my
away,
name will
pressing her
transfer
lips
to Grace
together.
and Annie without
Victor gave a
condition.
short laugh. You intend to confess your personal regrets to investors? I intend to correct a decision I should never have made. Richard
I can
looked at
confirm that
Samuel
the
Carter.
instructions are recorded.
Take this down for corporate
I'm calling for a
counsel.
vote on your
Whitmore
leadership
Freight
before the
will
day is
withdraw all
over.
claims,
The board
proposed
deserves a
easements,
choice.
and development
Understood.
plans connected
Let's
to
proceed.
Grace Whitmore's residence and the surrounding
You are
family
risking the
property.
entire company
My
for this
attorneys
woman
will
and a
prepare
girl
to
you
transfer
barely
any
know. They
remaining
are my
interest
family,
held in my
Victor.
name to Grace and
This
Annie
is where I
Whitmore,
draw the line.
without condition.
They are not
Sir,
people he barely
Samuel
knows.
Carter said quietly,
They are the family
"I have
he
it."
chose not
Victor's
to know.
face had gone
And that
still.
failure
If you
belongs
do
to him
this,
alone.
I will call for a vote on your leadership before the day is over. Then call for it. You are risking your company for a widow and a girl you barely know. Richard's gaze moved briefly to Annie. She was staring at him, eyes bright but unblinking. They are not people I barely know, he said. They are the family I chose not to know. That was
Does my mother
failure,
get to keep the
not
house?
theirs. He reached forward and ended the call. The screen went dark. No one in the kitchen spoke.
No
at
one
first.
from my company will ever
Richard
try
had
to take the
expected
house from
relief,
you or your
perhaps
mother
even
again.
pride. What he felt instead was grief, clean and sharp, because the
My
words
father
he had
would
just
have wanted
spoken
to hear
were
you
words
say
Daniel
that.
should have heard while he was alive. Annie rose from her chair. Does that mean Mom gets to keep the house?
I know.
Richard turned toward her. It means no one from my company will ever try to take it from either of you again. Her voice softened. Dad would have wanted to hear you say that. I know, Richard said. Grace looked at him from across the kitchen. The distance between them had not disappeared, but it no longer seemed endless. Outside, rain continued to fall over the yard. For the first time since Richard had arrived, it did not sound like something driving him away. For a while after the laptop screen went dark, no one touched the coffee, the papers, or the plate of biscuits still sitting near the stove. Richard remained at the table with one hand resting beside the black screen. He had ended business calls before, ended partnerships, ended projects worth more than the homes on this road combined. None of those decisions had left him with the strange feeling that he had finally stopped running. Samuel Carter closed the legal pad in front of him. "I'll contact counsel and make sure your instructions are entered formally." Richard nodded. "Use my personal attorney as well."
I will contact
"I don't
legal
want Victor
counsel.
slowing the transfer through company counsel." "Yes, sir." Annie stood by her chair.
Use my
still
personal
watching
attorney for the
Richard as though
transfer.
She did not yet know
Corporate
where to
rivals
place
will
what she
try
had
to
heard.
delay this through
Grace
company
picked up the
counsel,
coffee
so
mugs
bypass
and
them
carried toward
entirely.
the sink. "You should be careful what you promise in front of a young woman who remembers everything," Grace said. "I intend to keep it." She rinsed one mug. Intentions
Promises
are a
made here
beginning.
stick.
Before Richard
Especially
could
with
answer,
witnesses
a
who don't
blast of
forget.
wind
I
struck the
understand.
back of the house
You
with
have my
enough
word,
force
I won't
to
let
rattle
you
the
down.
kitchen windows. Annie turned sharply. Followed by a clatter against the wooden steps. "Mom," she said, "the roof." Grace was
The
already
roof is
moving.
tearing. We have to
She
secure the
pulled on
house
her
now.
rain jacket,
I can't keep the door
took a
closed.
flashlight from a hook by the door, and opened the back door just far enough to look outside. Rain blew in across the threshold. She said.
If this peels back any farther, the water will run straight into the wall.
Richard rose. "Call someone to repair it." Grace gave him a brief look.
I know a
"Miss
crew.
Weather, I can have a crew
We
here
should give
as
them a
soon as
call.
the
They
road
can patch it
clears.
up.
The wall cannot wait until the road clears.
The
She
wall
opened a
cannot
narrow
wait until the
utility
road
closet
clears.
and drew out a folded ladder, a tarp, and a small metal toolbox. "Annie, bring me the work gloves." Richard stepped toward her. "You're not climbing onto a roof in this rain." "I'm
Grab
not
the work
climbing
gloves
onto
from the
roof.
shed.
You
I'm
can't climb
securing
up
a
there in
tarp
this
from the
rain. Are
porch
you
edge
crazy?
Before the wind
We don't
takes
have a
the whole
choice.
panel.
It's leaking.
Then let me help.
I'm
Grace
just securing the
paused,
tarp from the
one
edge.
hand on
We
the
need to
ladder.
hurry before the
"Do you
wind
know
rips it.
how?"
I'm not sure what to
No,
do, but let me help.
Richard admitted.
Is everything all
"But I
right?
can follow
I heard the storm.
instructions."
Do you know how to
Samuel
help?
Carter started forward.
Honestly,
"Mrs.
I don't.
Whitmore, perhaps I should."
But I can follow
"No,"
any instructions
Grace
you
said,
give me.
handing Richard the ladder. He offered. Richard took it. The metal was cold against his palms. Outside, the rain had grown slanted again. Grace directed him
Get
to
the
set
ladder over here
near
now.
The porch corner,
The tarp won't
where
hold
water
much
was
longer.
already dripping through a widening gap. Richard's borrowed sweatpants darkened at the knees within seconds.
Move it left,
His socks,
right against the fascia.
only
I'm
trying,
recently
it's
worn,
slick down here.
became wet again
We're losing
inside his
light, just
shoes.
set it down.
"Open it all the way," Grace said. "Make sure both
Open the
locks
ladder
catch."
fully and
Richard
make sure
fumbled with
both
the
locks
hinges.
catch.
"These? Push until you hear them click." He did. The ladder settled firmly into the
You need
muddy
to push
ground.
it until you hear the
Grace
click.
pulled on gloves and placed
There
one
you
foot on
go.
the first step. Richard gripped both sides. "Keep it steady," she told him. "Not tight enough to fight me. Just steady." That sounds simpler than it feels. It usually is. Annie came through
Keep
the
the ladder
doorway
steady,
carrying an old
but
yellow
not too tight.
flashlight and a small box of roofing nails. I found Dad's hammer, too. Grace looked at the worn wooden handle in her daughter's hand. Her expression changed for only a moment. "Set it on the porch rail, honey.
Look what else I found.
Keep the light on the loose edge."
It's
A gust
Dad's.
rushed through the yard, whipping the tarp against
that's the
Grace's
one.
arm. Richard
I'm
tightened
losing
his
my grip.
on the ladder
Hold it
as she
steady.
reached upward. His polished shoes slipped half an inch in the mud.
Watch your
"Careful,"
foot.
Annie called. "I have it."
It's slipping
Richard
again.
said,
Be careful.
though he was not sure whether he meant the
I told
ladder
you I
or
have it.
himself.
Just hold the
Grace
light
stretched
steady.
farther, trying to hook one corner of the tarp beneath
I've
the
almost got
lifted
it.
panel.
Hold it steady.
Her boot shifted
Watch out,
on
it's
the
slipping.
rung.
Hold on.
I know.
The ladder moved.
I've got it.
Richard planted his feet and seized the rails
Whoa,
with
steady.
both hands.
Don't
Grace,
move. I've got
"I'm
it.
fine," she said, breathless but controlled. "Hold still. I am holding still."
Just hold
Good.
still. Steady
Keep
now.
doing
Steady.
it. For several
Almost got
minutes,
it.
there was no room for history. Grace called for nails.
Quick, hand me the
passed them
nails.
up.
Here you go. Be careful.
Richard kept the ladder braced, while rain ran down his neck and into the collar of his shirt. Samuel Carter stood at the doorway with a second flashlight, shielding it beneath the towel Grace had given him earlier. At last, Grace drove the final nail into place and tugged the tarp once to test it. The loose metal no longer lifted in the wind. Water ran over the tarp and away from the wall. That should hold until the weather clears, she said. Richard helped her down. When her foot reached
The tarp
wet
should
ground,
hold until the
she
weather
steadied
clears.
herself with one hand on his arm. Both of them seemed to notice the contact at the same time. Thank you, she said. It was the first time she had said those words to him since he arrived. Richard looked toward the patched roof.
Thank
Do
you.
much.
We
You
appreciate
stayed
this
where
more
I
than you
needed
know.
Annie gave a small laugh behind them.
I really didn't do
Cur
much,
Richard,
just
you've
patched it
got
up a
mud on
little.
your face.
You got a
He
little
lifted
something right
hand to
there.
his cheek
Right
and only
here?
smeared it
Oh, that's
farther.
not better.
Annie laughed harder now. No.
Oh,
that
honey,
made it
look at
worse.
you.
Richard found himself smiling. I'm beginning to suspect you're enjoying this. A little. She took the ladder from one side as he folded it. You look more like family now. Because I'm
You
covered
look more
in
like
mud?
family now.
Because you didn't leave when things got messy. The smile slipped from his face.
Do I look like
Not
family
her
because I'm
words
covered in
offended him,
mud?
but because they reached him cleanly.
It's because you didn't leave when
Inside,
things got messy.
Grace gave each of them towels.
They're really gone.
Richard dried his
Come inside,
hair
sweetie.
and sat near
Here,
the
get
heater,
warm.
while Annie returned to
Thank
the
you.
dining table with her scholarship essay. After a moment, she glanced at him. Would you read something? Richard looked up. Of course. She handed him 2 typed pages.
It's
The
my
essay
scholarship
began with
essay.
Daniel teaching her how
Would
to
you mind
change
taking a
tire
look
in
at
the
it?
gravel driveway, telling her that knowing how to help yourself made it easier to help someone else.
He didn't just
Richard
teach
read
me how to
slowly.
change a tire
There was
that
no
day on the
bitterness
gravel
page.
driveway.
Only a young woman
He taught
trying
me
to
that
explain why
preparation and
caring for
patience were the
people
key.
mattered to her. Your father would be proud of this, he said. He never got to read the final version. Richard lowered the pages. I'm sorry.
Your father would be proud
Annie
of the
nodded,
essay.
Then asked quietly,
He
"Did you
never
love
got to
him?"
read the final
The question
version.
seemed to still the room. Yes, Richard said.
I am truly
"I
sorry
did."
for your loss,
Then why
for
did
everything.
you stay away? He looked
Did
down
you love
at
my
Daniel's
father?
sweater folded across the arm of the sofa. Because
I did
kept
love my
believing
brother.
there would be time to be a brother after I finished
So why did
being
you stay
important.
away?
Annie absorbed that without looking away. Dad never told me to hate you.
I thought there would
Richard's
be
voice
time to be a
tightened.
brother
He would
after
have had
being
reason to.
important.
He said you were stubborn and lonely. He said
I
sometimes
know I
those
messed
are
everything
almost
up.
the
I'm
same
so
thing.
sorry.
Near the kitchen doorway,
He never told me
Grace
to
stood
hate
with
you.
a dish towel in her hands. She had heard enough. Without speaking, she turned
My
toward
father
the drawer
called you
beside
stubborn
the
and
refrigerator,
lonely.
the one that held
And
Daniel's
sometimes
letter.
those are almost the same
Her
thing.
fingers rested on its handle for a long moment. Outside, the tarp held against the rain. Inside, for the first time in years, Grace considered letting Richard hear the brother he had left unanswered. The rain eased after dark, no longer striking the windows in angry sheets, but settling into a steady sound along the patched porch roof. The tarp Grace and Richard had fastened held firm. Each time the wind moved through the yard, the loose edge snapped once, then quieted. Annie had gone upstairs with her essay tucked against her chest. Samuel Carter sat in the small study at the end of the hall, speaking quietly on
Look,
his phone now that
I
it
need
had
you to
dried enough
finalize
to
the
charge
logistics
and
for the
function
morning
again.
flight, discreetly.
Richard could hear only fragments.
Have the documents ready by sunrise.
Yes. Tomorrow morning.
I understand
No.
the urgency, sir,
Mr.
but these
Whitmore will
documents
speak for
require
himself.
review before we
Please
proceed
send
with
the
the transfer.
documents to my email. Richard remained in the living room wearing Daniel's sweater again. His dried shirt and trousers were folded on the back of a chair, but he had not reached for them. The sweater no longer felt like borrowed clothing. It
I
felt
made
like
chamomile.
a question he had avoided answering
It might
for
help you
years.
sleep.
Grace came in
Thank
from
you.
the kitchen with 2
It
mugs
looks
of
wonderful.
tea. She set one on the table beside him. Samuel
Roadside
Carter heard from
assistance will
roadside
reach his
assistance,
black
she
SUV
said.
around
They
7 in the
expect to
morning.
reach your SUV around 7 in the morning. The water is going down
I will be
near
out of the
bridge.
house soon.
Richard nodded. Then I'll be out of your way soon. Grace sat in the chair across from him rather than returning to the kitchen. Is
I don't know
that
what else
you
to
think
call
you've
myself
been?
in this house.
He looked at her. I don't know what else to call myself in this house. For a moment, she did not answer.
You were
The
once
lamp
welcome
beside her
here.
cast light over the lines at the corners of her eyes. Lines he did not remember from the last time their family
James
had still been
expected you to
whole.
come back
You
once
were
the
welcome
argument
here
cooled
once,
down.
she said. I
This
know.
land meant
Daniel
everything
kept
to him
expecting you to come
and
back
to me.
after the argument cooled down.
Even after lawyers became
Even after the
involved,
lawyers became
the dead
involved.
brother believed
He
land
kept
was
saying you
land
would
and
eventually
family was
remember that
family.
land was land and family was family. Richard
His
rubbed
brother
his thumb along the
overestimated
seam
him.
of the sweater cuff.
Love
He
often
overestimated me.
overestimates.
He loved you, Grace said.
We both know
People
this
often
wasn't just about the
overestimate
merger,
ones they
David.
love. The words did not accuse
It was about
him.
who you
That
thought
made
you
them
were.
harder to hear. Samuel Carter appeared at the
The
living
tow
room
truck is
entrance with
confirmed
his
for the
phone in
morning,
hand.
and the
Sir,
attorney has
I've
received
confirmed the tow
instructions
truck
about
for
the
morning.
family property.
Your personal attorney also received your instructions regarding the Haven
We can
Ridge
prepare the
property.
deed and termination
She can prepare
notices
the
once
deed
we're
and
back in
termination
Chicago.
Notices
Thank you.
Once you return to Chicago. Thank you, Samuel Carter. There is one more thing. Victor Lamb
A rival executive has requested an emergency board vote tomorrow afternoon.
Richard looked toward the window, where darkness covered the yard Daniel had tried to keep for his daughter.
Let the vote happen.
Let him request it. Samuel Carter waited, perhaps expecting more.
Good night.
When none came, he nodded. Good night, sir. Mrs. Whitmore. Good night, Grace replied.
It's strange, isn't it?
After he left, Richard picked up
After
the tea,
all this
but did
time,
not
I
drink.
suppose I should finally admit
I
that
should
I'm
be
afraid of
terrified
losing control.
of the company.
Are you afraid?
I don't know. He gave a faint, empty laugh. Yesterday I would have said there was nothing worse. And tonight, Richard glanced toward the staircase.
I can now
where Annie had
imagine
disappeared.
several things worse
Tonight I
than
can
losing
think of
his
several
company.
things worse. Grace held her mug in both hands. The room grew quiet except for the radio in the kitchen, turned low enough that only the piano and the singer's tired voice reached them. Richard stood and walked to the chair where Daniel's sweater had been folded earlier.
I will
He had
return
put
it
on
before
again
leaving.
after helping with the roof, but now he ran a palm down the front of it.
The
as
deceased
though
brother
smoothing a
owned
wrinkle
more
that
than
was
one
not there.
sweater.
I'll return this before I leave.
It still does
he
not
said.
make this one
Grace
his.
watched his hand. Daniel owned more than one sweater. That doesn't make this one mine. No, she said. It doesn't. She rose, carried her tea into the kitchen, and stood at the drawer beside the refrigerator. Richard could see only her back at first. When she turned around, the cream-colored envelope was in her hand. He stopped breathing.
I have
for a
read this
moment.
letter so
Grace
many
came back
times.
into the
I know
living room and
every
stood before him.
fold.
I have read this so many times that I
He
know where
wanted
the paper
peace.
folds without looking. Richard did not
I
reach
was
for it.
angry that
I was
after
angry when
everything,
he wrote it.
he
She
still
continued,
expected it.
Angry that he still wanted to make peace with you
Death
after
made
everything.
anger easier to hold
Then
than
he died.
accepting the dying man
And
left
anger was
wanting
easier to
something
hold
she
than
could
the
no
thought that
longer
he
give.
left, wanting something I could no longer give him. Grace.
I
She
still
lifted
do
her
not
hand
know if
slightly,
you deserve to
stopping him.
read this letter.
I still don't know whether you deserve to read this. Richard lowered his eyes.
Maybe he does not
I don't
deserve
think I
it,
do.
but
No,
the
she
dead
said
brother
quietly.
deserves to be heard.
Maybe you don't. But Daniel deserves to be heard. She placed the envelope in his hands. Richard sat down because his legs no longer felt reliable. His name was written across the front in Daniel's slanted handwriting. The same handwriting that used to label fishing boxes and Christmas gifts and notes left on their mother's refrigerator. His finger slipped beneath the flap. The paper inside had been folded twice. Grace remained standing near the chair, neither close
Brothers
enough to
not
comfort
knowing
him
how
nor
to
far
say
enough to
goodbye
pretend this did not
after
matter.
wasting years
Richard began
in
to read.
anger.
Rich, I have started this letter 3 times and thrown it
Wasted
away
time
twice,
and a brother
because I do
trying
not know
again
how
after
brothers say
failed
goodbye when they
drafts.
have wasted so much time being angry. His throat tightened. He read on. I know why you wanted that road. I know what it meant for the company. I also know you have spent most of your life running from the years when we had more bills
His
than
brother
money,
never
and a
blamed him for
furnace Dad
wanting
kept
more
alive with
and was
borrowed
proud of
parts.
him,
I never blamed
even
you for
telling the
wanting
young
more.
woman many
I was
times.
proud of you. I told Annie that more times than she probably wanted to hear. Richard pressed the heel of his hand against his mouth. What hurt was not that you became successful,
The pain was
What
not
hurt
his
was
success,
that you
but that he
to look
began
at
judging
everything
everything by what it
through
could
the
give
question
him,
of what it could give you.
even home and family.
Even this place. Even me. The rain ticked
The letter
quietly
praises
against
the
window.
widow's strength
Grace
and
will
the
be
young
all right
woman's
because she has
goodness
always been
shaped
stronger
by her
than
mother.
either of us.
Don't
Annie
let the
will grow
widow
into
and young
someone
woman
good
believe
because
they
her
mattered
mother has
less than
taught
a
her what
business
matters.
deal.
If there is anything left in you that remembers the boy who used to sleep in the bed across from mine, do not let them believe they were less important than a business deal. Richard's vision blurred. He blinked.
The dead brother
But
did
the
not
words
need the
moved
land
anyway.
back,
The
only
last
his little
lines were
brother
shorter.
before time ran
I do
out.
not need the land back, Rich. I need my little brother back before I run out of time. The page lowered in Richard's trembling hands. For several seconds, he made no sound. Then a broken breath left him, and he folded forward, pressing the letter against his chest. I should have answered him, he whispered. Grace
I
looked
should have
away,
answered.
her own eyes wet. I should have answered. Footsteps sounded on the stairs. Annie stood at the bottom step in her socks, one hand against the banister. She looked at the letter, then at her mother, and understood. Richard lifted his head toward them. His face no longer held any of the control he had carried into their home. Grace, he said, his voice unsteady. Annie,
I know saying this now
there is
doesn't
something I
change
should
the
have said
past.
years ago. Richard rose from the sofa with Daniel's letter still in his hand. The paper trembled between his fingers. Annie remained at the foot of the stairs.
wish I didn't have
and
to
Grace
tell you
stood
this,
beside the chair,
especially
her
now.
face composed only because she had spent years learning
letter
how to
explains
keep pain
some
from
of it.
spilling into every room. I should have
When
called him,
David first
Richard
got
said.
sick,
I should have come here the
I should
first
have
time
come.
I learned he was sick.
I should have
Instead,
called.
I convinced myself
the dying brother was punishing me over the land. That surrendering would mean letting emotion rule business.
Grace folded her arms, not defensively, but as though she needed something to hold in place.
I was angry because my older brother refused to bend.
I was angry because he would
He
not
always
bend.
made room for me,
He was my older
covered
brother.
for me,
He had
and
always
believed
been the one
I
who
would
made
become
room for me.
something.
Covered for me.
When his brother finally
Believed I
said
would become
no,
something. And when
he
finally
treated him
told
like
me
an
no,
opponent.
I treated him like an opponent. Annie stepped off the last stair but did not come closer.
I sent lawyers to the house and allowed legal notices to arrive while my brother was undergoing treatment.
While he was going through treatment. I knew
my brother was ill, even if I refused to understand how ill.
I told myself
I separated business from family because it made selfish choices easier.
I wanted.
I know you were caring for him.
He looked directly at Grace. You
And
were
I know
taking
I
care of
made
my
this
brother
last
while I
year
made his
harder.
final year harder. I left you to carry his
Fear,
his
hospital appointments,
his
pain, and a daughter's
and your
worry.
daughter's worry.
While legal papers
All
bearing
while
my name
kept
threatened the
showing up
home
on
meant for
papers
her.
threatening the home he wanted to leave her.
I am
He drew
deeply
a shaky
sorry.
breath. I am sorry, Grace.
Your apology
I am more
cannot
sorry than
erase
I
the
know how to
timing.
say. Grace's eyes
I needed
filled,
those words
but her
when my
voice
husband
stayed
could still
controlled.
hear them.
I needed
I
you
know.
to say that when he could
You
still
do
hear
not.
it. I know. No, Richard. I don't think you do.
Exhausted
She
from
wiped one
treatment,
tear away
barely
with the heel
able
of
to
her
eat,
hand,
he was still
angry at it
asking
for
whether his
appearing.
brother had
He would come
called.
home from treatment exhausted, barely able
I
to
hated
eat,
him for
and
making
still
my
asked
husband
whether you
hope.
had called.
And I
I
hated
you
myself for
making
never
him hope.
telling him to
I
stop
hated
hoping.
myself because I could not bring myself to tell him to
You
stop.
should hate me.
Richard lowered his head.
I did.
You should hate me. I
Some
did,
days I still
Grace
do.
said. Some days I still do. Annie whispered.
You deserve the
Mom.
truth.
Grace looked at her daughter.
Forgiveness does
She
not
deserves
mean
the truth.
pretending none of the harm happened.
Forgiveness does not mean we pretend none of it happened. Richard nodded. She does deserve it. He turned toward Annie. For a moment he could not speak.
Though we
At the
grieve,
funeral,
we must
she had been
also
15,
celebrate the life he lived.
wearing a black dress beneath a borrowed
He touched
coat,
so many hearts in this
standing beside
community.
her mother with red eyes and a rigid back. He had told himself she was too young to understand what had happened between him and Daniel. Now he could see how much she had understood.
You
without
deserved an
anyone
uncle who
explaining it.
attended
Annie,
birthdays and
he said,
school
You should have
ceremonies.
had an uncle who came to birthday dinners and school ceremonies. Someone
I
who
should have
brought
brought
your father
coffee to the
at
hospital and sat beside the
your
exhausted
mother when she was
widow.
too tired
But
to sit
instead I
alone.
became a painful
Instead,
name the
I
family
gave you a
avoided
man
saying.
people stopped speaking about because saying my name
Why he
hurt
never
too much.
came when her father
Annie's
was
lips
sick.
trembled. Why didn't you come when Dad was sick? Richard looked at the letter in
I
his
stayed
hands.
away because I
There
was
no
proud
answer
and
that could
believed
make
there
him
would
smaller
always
than
be
the
another
truth
day to
already
fix
had.
things.
Because I was proud, he said. Because I thought
Did
there
you
would
love my
always be
father?
another day to make
Yes.
things right. Because I cared more about winning than I cared about what it was costing your father. Did you love him?
I
Yes.
loved my brother, but I failed
His
him.
answer came at once, then broke under its own weight.
My father never said
I
he
loved
did
him.
not love you.
I just failed him.
My
Annie
father
wiped at
said
her
his
cheek.
brother got lost.
Dad
running
never
so
said you
hard
didn't
toward the
love
life
him.
he wanted that he
Richard
forgot
looked up.
who he left
He said you
behind.
got lost.
And a
She
picture of
continued.
him stayed
He said
in the
some
desk
people run
until
so
the
hard
end.
toward the life they want that they forget to turn around and see who they left behind. A sound escaped Richard, almost a laugh, almost a sob. That sounds like him. He kept your picture in his desk, Annie said. Even near the end, Grace closed
On the
her eyes
last night,
briefly,
he was really
then walked
awake.
to the kitchen
He asked
counter
if his brother
and
had
rested her
returned the
hands
call.
against it. The last night Daniel was awake for more than a few
I
minutes.
told my husband no.
He asked whether you had returned his call.
I told him no.
Richard stared at her. I told him no, Grace said.
He just
I
lay
was so
there in
angry I
silence
could
for the
hardly say the
longest
words.
time.
He lay there for a long
And
time.
then he asked me to promise him
Then
something.
he asked me to promise something.
What did he ask
Annie
you to
moved
do,
closer
Mama?
to her mother. What did he ask?
He made me promise to
turned
take
toward
care
her
of
daughter.
everyone, no matter the
He
cost.
said, "Don't let Annie
Do
grow
not
into
let the
someone
daughter
who
grow
closes the
into
door
someone
on
who
family
closes the door on
just
family.
because they once closed
Because
it on
family
us."
once closed
Annie
it on
covered her
them.
mouth with her hand. Richard looked toward the front door, then toward the dark windows, as if he could still see her outside in the rain holding that umbrella.
I wanted to leave
That's
you
why
out
you
there.
invited me in, he said.
really did.
Annie nodded. I wanted to leave
But
you
I
out
thought
there.
about my father.
For a minute,
Her father left
really
a better
did.
person behind in her
then
than
I
he
thought
ever
about
became.
Dad. Richard
He can
pressed
still
the letter
become
flat
better,
against his
but not
palm.
just because he
Your
feels
father
bad
left
tonight.
a better man behind in you than I ever managed to become. You can still become one, Annie said quietly, but not because you feel bad tonight. He understood what she meant. Tears, apologies,
I do not
and
expect
one
forgiveness
canceled
tonight
project
and have
could
no
not
right
restore
to
you as
ask.
Daniel had lived without his brother. Richard faced Grace again.
I
don't
promise to
expect
complete
you
the
to
land
forgive me
transfer
tonight.
and remove
I don't
every
have the
company
right to
claim
ask,
against the
but
property.
I will complete the transfer
This is my
of the
commitment
land.
to you.
I will
And
remove
if they allow
every
it,
claim my
he will
company
keep
has
showing
made
up.
against this property.
Not to ease his
And after
conscience,
that,
but because his
if you
brother
let me,
asked him to be family.
I will keep showing up. Not to ease my conscience.
I failed my brother once
because
already.
Daniel asked me to be family, and I failed him once already. Grace held his
I hear
gaze.
your apology, and
The
that is
anger in her
all I
face
can
had
give
not
tonight.
vanished. But it was no
It is
longer
more
the
than I
only thing
deserve.
there. I hear your apology, she
How
said.
could you let it get this bad?
That is all I can give you
I
tonight.
apologize, sir, but it's
It is
Commander
more than I
Hayes.
deserve. From
Tell
the
him I'll call
hallway,
back.
Samuel Carter approached with his phone. in
Apologies
one
for
hand.
interrupting, sir, but a corporate rival has
stopped
called
when
an
he sensed
emergency
what he had
board
walked
vote,
into.
threatening your
Sir,
removal
I'm
unless the
sorry to
rural
interrupt,
project decision
he
is
said.
reversed.
Victor Lang
They
has
are
called an
serious about the
emergency
merger,
board
sir.
vote. He says
If we don't
unless you
respond to
reverse
this
your
threat by
decision about
midnight, we
Haven
lose
Ridge before
everything.
midnight,
The
he will
land, the
move to
company,
remove
it's
you
all
from
gone.
control of the company. Richard looked at Grace and Annie, then folded Daniel's letter
Call back so
carefully along
everyone
its
will hear
original
my
crease.
answer.
Call him back, he said. This time, they will all hear
Yes,
my answer.
I need to speak to...
Samuel Carter did not ask whether Richard was certain. He knew better than to offer a man an escape after watching him finally stop looking for one. I'll set up the call in the kitchen, he said. Richard nodded. He folded Daniel's letter once more and placed it on the mantel, beneath the photograph of his brother, smiling beside Grace and Annie. His hand remained there a moment.
You already
touching
stopped the
wooden
project
frame.
earlier.
Grace stood near the
You don't
counter,
have to let
her
your
face
rival
still
take
wet from
everything
tears
else
she
from
had
you
stopped
tonight.
trying to hide. Richard, you already stopped the project this afternoon. You do not have to let Victor take everything else from you tonight. Richard turned to her. This is not Victor
It's not my
taking
rival
anything.
taking anything.
This is
I'm
me
refusing to keep what I used against my dead
Daniel.
brother.
Your company
That
is
is
your whole
exactly
life.
the problem.
That is exactly the problem. Annie moved beside her mother, close enough that their shoulders touched. Richard saw the worry in her expression. She was 18. Caught between wanting justice for her father and not wanting another member of her family destroyed by the same old wound. Samuel Carter returned with the laptop and set it on the
The
dining
rival
table.
already has the board on standby.
Victor has the board on standby. Corporate counsel is already
Corporate
on the line.
counsel is already on the line, and your personal attorney is joining.
now. Richard
We need to
sat
discuss
down.
the terms of
He
the
did not put
acquisition
on his jacket.
immediately.
He wore Daniel's gray sweater, damp at one cuff from the roof repair, with mud still dried near one sleeve. Samuel Carter noticed and reached for the camera setting. Video on, Richard said. Sir, let them see me as I am. Samuel Carter turned on the camera. Victor Lang appeared first.
Just turn it
seated
on,
in a
Mark.
polished conference room
Let
in
them see
Chicago.
me as I am.
Behind him were several members
There's
of the
no
board,
point hiding the
their
truth
expressions
now.
guarded. Victor leaned forward when he saw Richard. Well,
I hope you've
he
reconsidered
said,
our proposal.
This has become more
We'd
theatrical
hate for this
than
to
I
get
expected.
complicated.
Richard's voice remained quiet.
This has become rather more
requested the
theatrical
call.
than expected.
Speak. Victor's smile
You requested
faded.
the call, Mr. Thorne.
This afternoon,
You should speak.
terminated the Haven Ridge Access
You terminated the
project
Haven Ridge
without
Access
consultation,
project without
jeopardizing
consultation.
a
That is a
development
reckless
plan
move that
has
jeopardizes a
already
plan
consumed
already
substantial
consuming major
resources.
company
I am
resources.
prepared to give
I am
you one
prepared to give
opportunity
one
to
final
correct that
opportunity
decision
to reverse
before
the
I
decision
formally call for a
before
vote
I
of no
formally call
confidence.
for a vote
I
of
will
no
not reverse
confidence.
it. Richard,
I'm
listen to
sorry, but
yourself.
my decision
You are
stands.
sitting in a
Oh, does
family
it?
home during a storm,
Making decisions
dressed
about a
in your
public
dead
company
brother's
from your
sweater,
kitchen,
making
wearing your
decisions
brother's
about a public
hand-me-downs.
company because
This
you
is
have been
clearly
made
a
to feel
case of
guilty.
emotional
Grace
manipulation.
stiffened.
His
Annie's
guilt has
face
compromised
flushed.
the entire
Richard
agreement,
said,
and we cannot proceed
"Choose
under
your
these
next
terms.
words carefully."
You should
Victor
choose your
ignored
next
the
words
warning.
very carefully.
You had a
I'm
legal
not
interest
interested in
that
your
property.
threats. The deal
Your
stands as
brother's
written.
widow may resent that. But resentment
With all
does
due
not erase
respect,
contracts.
your resentment
If you
is
hand over
irrelevant.
the land now, you are
This
not
is about
correcting
legal
injustice,
interest and the
nor
terms of the
rewarding motion.
contract.
Richard looked
We
toward
must
Grace.
reiterate the
She did
finality
not
of this
lower her
offer.
eyes.
Should
For
we not
years,
receive a
he had
response
used
by the
words like
stipulated
legal,
date, the agreement
strategic,
regarding the
and
land
necessary
automatically
to avoid a
defaults.
simpler truth. Daniel had asked to keep
I
his
hid
home,
behind words
and
like
Richard had
legal,
answered with pressure.
strategic, and
Corporate
necessary.
counsel is present.
The truth
Richard
is,
asked. A woman's voice came through the speakers.
Corporate counsel is present,
Yes,
correct.
Mr. Whitmore, Elaine Porter, General Counsel, and my personal attorney.
Yes,
Another
counsel
voice
is
answered.
present.
I am asking for my personal
Margaret Ellis
attorney.
here, Richard.
Let it be noted
Good.
that both company
Samuel
and family
Carter is taking
consequences
notes.
will be handled
This
strictly
call
on
may
the
be
record.
recorded for the corporate
Just for the record,
Victor's
please
jaw
note that my
tightened.
assistant is
What are you
logging the
doing?
minutes,
What
and
I
this
should have done
conversation is
before
being
my brother
recorded for the
died.
corporate file.
Richard placed both hands on the table.
What are you doing?
Annie could see they were still shaking
I'm
slightly.
doing what I should have done
but
before
not
my
from
brother
the cold
died.
now. Miss Porter, effective immediately. Whitmore Freight Holdings is to withdraw from all proposed access. Road development affecting the Whitmore family property in Haven Ridge. No subsidiary.
We are
contractor,
issuing
or
a
partner
formal order
is
for
to
the
seek
company
an
to
easement,
withdraw from
purchase
all
option,
proposed
or
access
development
road
claim
development
against that
affecting
land.
the Haven Ridge
Elaine
family
Porter
property.
hesitated.
No
Mr.
subsidiary,
Whitmore,
contractor,
the board may
or
need to
partner
approve
may seek
portions
an
of that
easement,
instruction,
purchase option,
then
or
record my
development
vote in my
claim against the
direction as
family
chief
land.
executive.
The board
Margaret,
may need to
prepare the
approve
personal
portions of the
documents separately.
instruction.
I am transferring every ownership interest and development right I hold in that property to Grace Whitmore.
Let
and
the
Annie
record
Whitmore
show this is my
without
official
condition
direction and
without
vote
payment.
as chief
Annie
executive.
drew in a small
It is to be
breath.
recorded
Grace put a
immediately.
hand over her daughters. Victor leaned toward
I am
the
ordering
camera.
the separate personal
You cannot
documents.
possibly
I
believe
hereby
this will
declare I
repair
will
the
transfer
past.
every ownership
No,
interest and
Richard
development
said.
right I hold
Nothing
in the family
repairs the
property.
past.
The property
Daniel is
rights
still
will go
dead.
to the widow and her daughter
wife still
without
carried
condition
burdens I
and
placed
without
on her.
payment.
His daughter still grew up without the uncle she should have had. I am not purchasing
Yes, the
forgiveness.
transfer is
I am
complete. The
returning
land
what
is
I should
officially
never have
yours.
tried to take.
I'll send the paperwork
Victor's
over this
face hardened.
afternoon.
Then you leave me no choice.
You cannot possibly
I will
believe
proceed with the
this
vote
will
to
repair
remove
the
you from
past.
operational control. You could lose the company you
Nothing
spent
repairs
30
the
years
past.
building.
Acknowledging
Richard
that
looked
his
at
brother
Daniel's
is
letter
still
on the
dead
mantel.
and that the
I
widow
spent
still
30 years
carried
building a
burdens he
company,
placed on
he
her.
said. My brother spent his
The daughter
last year
grew up
believing I
without
loved
the
that
uncle she
company
should have
more than I
had, and
loved
that he
him.
is
I
not
will
purchasing
prove him right
forgiveness,
again.
only
One of the
returning
board
what he should
members,
never have
an
tried
older
to
man
take.
named Henry Lawson,
The
spoke
vote
for
to
the
remove
first
you
time.
from operational control
Richard,
will proceed as
Are
planned.
you saying you accept
This is
whatever
strictly a
consequence
corporate
follows?
decision now.
Yes. Victor gave a
This
humorous
company you
laugh.
spent 30 years
For a
building,
widow
it's
and a girl
finished.
you barely know.
You're gonna lose
Richard
everything.
turned slightly so Grace and Annie were visible behind him. They are my family.
I spent 30
he
years
said.
building a company
I
while
barely
my
know
brother
them
spent
because
his
I
last
failed
year
them.
believing I loved that
Do not
company more than
confuse my
him,
failure
and I
with
will
their
not
worth.
prove him right
the room
again.
in Chicago fell silent. Victor's
Do you
eyes
accept
narrowed.
whatever
You
consequence
were making a
follows?
mistake. Richard's expression did not change. No, Victor.
Yes.
I made the mistake years ago.
You're
Tonight,
risking
I am
everything
ending
for
it.
a widow and
He
a girl
nodded to
you
Samuel
barely
Carter.
know.
His
There's no
executive
excuse for
assistant
what I
reached
did.
forward
I take
and
full
disconnected the
responsibility,
call.
starting
The
now.
laptop screen went black.
My family is here today because
few
they deserve the
seconds,
truth.
The only
They
sound
are
was
my
rain
family, and I
sliding
barely
softly
know
from the
them
tarp
only
outside,
because I failed
and the
them.
old refrigerator humming near the
Don't
stove.
confuse my
Samuel
failure with
Carter
their
removed
worth.
his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. I'll have Margaret send the transfer papers for your signature in the morning. Once they are notarized, she can file them with the county recorder. Thank you, Samuel Carter.
I made the mistake
His
years
assistant
ago.
gathered the laptop.
Tonight,
Before
I am
leaving
ending
the
it.
kitchen, he stopped beside Richard. For what it is worth, sir, I have seen you win many meetings. He glanced toward Grace and Annie. That may be the first one that mattered. Richard could not speak, so he only nodded. When Samuel Carter had gone down the hall, Annie crossed the room first. She stood
I
in
will
front
have the
of Richard,
personal attorney send
tears
transfer
shining on her
papers in the
cheeks.
morning for
Does
signature
this
and
mean
county
nobody
filing.
can make Mom sell the house? Richard rose from his chair.
Thank you, truly.
Once the
He would be
papers are
proud, sir.
complete, anything I control
care of
will
yourself.
belong to you and your mother. No conditions, no roads.
I've seen you win many
no
meetings,
company claims.
but this may
Annie
be the
wrapped
first
her
one
arms
that
around
mattered.
him. Richard froze before carefully holding her, feeling how much time he had missed in the simple fact
this
that his
means
brother's
nobody
daughter
can
had
make my
grown
mother
tall
sell the
enough to reach
house.
his shoulder. I wish Dad could have heard you, she whispered.
Once the papers are
So do
complete,
I.
everything I
When Annie
controlled will
stepped
belong
back,
to you and your mother,
Grace
with no
remained
conditions,
across the table.
no roads, and no company
Richard
claims.
did not expect her to come closer. He had returned land. He had risked his company. Neither action gave him the right to hurry her grief. Grace looked at Daniel's letter.
I wish my
then at the
father could
sweater
have heard
Richard
you.
wore. Daniel would be furious
I
it
do
took you
too.
this long, she said. Richard gave a broken smile. He should be. He would lecture you until you wanted to leave the room. I remember. And then, Grace said,
The dead
her
brother
voice
would be
failing for the
furious
first
it
time,
took him this
he
long.
would hug you anyway. She stepped around the table and put her arms around him. Richard bowed his head against her shoulder.
He would
He did
lecture
not ask
you
whether
until
he
you
was
wanted to
forgiven.
leave the
He only
room.
held on,
But
as
he
the
would
rain
hug you
softened
anyway.
outside the house his brother had fought to keep, and understood that coming home did not erase what he had done. It only meant he had finally stopped walking away. Richard woke before dawn to the absence of rain. For a few seconds he lay on the sofa beneath the quilt Annie had given him, listening for the steady drumming that had filled the house since his arrival. Instead, he heard water falling from the gutters one drop at a time, and the low creak of the patched porch settling in the cold. He sat up slowly. Daniel's gray sweater still covered his shoulders. On the mantel, the letter rested beneath the family photograph, folded along lines Daniel's hands had made years ago. Richard crossed the room and touched the edge of the
So
envelope.
sorry, brother.
I'm sorry,
I never
Danny,
meant for it to end this way.
he whispered.
The farm
I
is
know that
yours,
is not
always
enough.
was.
A floorboard sounded behind him. Grace stood in the kitchen doorway, wrapped in a long cardigan, 2 mugs of coffee in her hands. She did not
The
say
rain
she had
stopped
heard him.
around 4.
She walked over and offered him 1 mug. The rain stopped around 4, she said. Richard accepted the
The
coffee.
road crew should be
I
able to
noticed.
reach the
road
disabled
crew should
vehicle
be
now,
able to reach your
but
SUV
you're no
now.
longer
He
relieved
nodded,
by the thought
though
of
the news
leaving.
no longer brought the relief he would have expected the day
After
before.
every storm, he
Grace
would
looked
walk
at
the
letter.
property.
He used to get up before everyone
He
else
always
after a
needed to
storm.
see what had fallen.
He liked walking the property to see
He
what had
always knew
fallen
exactly what needed
and what
fixing
was
after
still
a storm
standing.
like that.
Richard gave a quiet breath.
He just had a way of seeing
He
the
always did
damage.
like inspecting damage. He liked knowing what needed fixing. Before Richard could answer, Samuel Carter emerged
Did you get
from
any
the study
sleep at all?
fully dressed. His borrowed sweatshirt folded
Roadside
over one
assistance
arm.
called.
His tie was slightly
The tow
crooked,
truck is 10
and he
minutes
looked as
away,
though he had
and the
slept even
disabled
less
vehicle
than
can be
Richard.
opened
Good
manually.
morning, Mrs. Whitmore. Sir.
The vehicle will
He
be
held
towed
up his
directly
phone.
to our service
Roadside
station just
assistance
off the
just
highway.
called.
We should
The
have an
tow
estimate
truck is
for you
10
by
minutes
midday.
away. They believe they can open the
I should go
SUV
wake her.
manually
Let her sleep.
and tow it to a service station near the highway.
It was a difficult night.
Grace nodded. I'll wake Annie. She should sleep.
The
Richard
young niece
said.
would never
Grace
forgive
gave
them
him a
if he
knowing
left
look.
without saying
She would
goodbye.
never forgive either of us if you left without saying goodbye. She went upstairs while Richard stood near the window. Dawn spread slowly over the yard. The maple tree Daniel planted stood wet and bare beyond the porch, its branches dark against the pale sky. Richard wondered how many times Daniel had looked at that tree and imagined Annie older, leaving for school, coming back for holidays, bringing her own family someday. He had almost turned that future into an access road. The tow truck arrived with a low diesel load. A stocky man in a reflective jacket climbed down, pulled on gloves, and introduced
Morning.
himself as
Bill
Frank.
McReady, ready
Richard
towing.
followed Samuel Carter
Looks like she stalled
outside,
out on you.
where the air
Yes,
smelled
just
of
seized
wet
up back
leaves and
there.
mud.
Any chance you can get her
Electrical
running?
failure after the water
Looks
got
like the
high?
water caused an
Frank
electrical
asked,
failure.
studying
Did
the
it
black
stall right
SUV.
after hitting the puddle?
That seems
We
to be
believe
the
so. It just
situation,
completely shut
Samuel
down.
Carter said. Frank gave the door handle
Well,
a
she's
tug,
really stuck
and then
on
reached for his
fancy.
tools.
These
Happens
new
with
systems are
fancy
so
systems.
smart, they even lock the owners out.
Everything works great until it decides you no longer
She really
belong
doesn't want you
inside
going
your own
anywhere,
car.
does she?
Richard almost smiled.
Symbolic, isn't it?
That is a fair description of my evening. Within 20 minutes, Frank released the driver's door manually. Richard's overcoat lay across the passenger seat, dry and neat, as if the storm had happened to another man. His briefcase was still in the back, filled with documents that had seemed urgent when he left Springfield. Samuel Carter retrieved the briefcase.
The attorney
Your
has
attorney
emailed the first documents and can meet in
sir.
Chicago by
She
noon.
can meet us in Chicago by noon. She says the deed will require notarization. And
We'll handle
county
the
filing,
notarization
but she
today
can
and
have
submit the
everything
county
prepared
filing.
today. Good.
Nothing changes.
Tell her nothing changes.
There are no conditions and no retained rights.
Yes, sir. Richard took his overcoat from the car, then looked down at the gray sweater he still wore. He had no desire to replace it with the coat. Uncle Richard?
Before you go,
He turned.
I wanted
Annie
you to
stood on
have
the porch
this.
in jeans and a thick sweatshirt, her braids pulled back, her face tired from the night before. She
I
held a
hoped you
small
would not
paper
sleep
box
through
in
my
both
leaving.
hands. Richard walked toward her. I was hoping you would not sleep through my leaving.
I'm sorry, I almost stayed asleep.
Mom knocked twice
It's all
before I
right, kiddo.
believed her.
Get home safe.
Grace stood just inside the doorway, allowing Annie the moment. Annie held out the box. This is for you. Richard opened it carefully. Inside lay a small square of faded flannel. Blue
I wore
and
this
brown,
shirt the day you were
with
born.
one edge neatly stitched.
I can't believe you
On
saved
the
it.
back, in Annie's handwriting, were the words, "Come back before it rains again." He looked at her.
Did it
Was this
belong
your
to her
father's?
father?
One of his old work shirts. Mom saved them for a quilt someday.
It came from one of
Annie
my
glanced
father's
toward
old
Grace.
work shirts.
She said I could give you one piece.
We were
Richard
saving them
closed
for a
his fingers
future
around
quilt.
the fabric. I don't know what to say.
Say you
Say
will
you'll
come back.
I will. Annie searched his
Will
face.
you return only because you feel guilty?
The question was not cruel. It
I
was
will
careful.
always feel
Richard
guilty.
took a breath. I
But
will
that
always
guilt
feel
is not
guilty.
why I want to
But
return.
that is not why I want to come back. He
I want to
stepped
be your
closer.
real uncle.
I want to be your uncle.
Not just
Annie.
a painful name from
Not a
family
name you heard
arguments.
when people were upset. Not the man who stood at the funeral and left. Your uncle, if you will let me. Her eyes filled. She nodded once, then stepped into his arms. Richard held her carefully. He had no memories of her first day of school, her birthdays, her father teaching her to drive. He could not reclaim those years, but he could feel the weight of her trust now, and he understood it was not something to receive lightly. When she pulled away, Grace came onto the porch carrying a folded bundle. Richard recognized Daniel's sweater.
You should
"You
keep
should
the
keep
sweater.
this," Grace said. He shook his head.
It belongs in the house.
It belongs here. It belonged to Daniel. There is a difference. She
It
placed
belonged
it
to
in
his late
hands.
brother,
He
and
wanted
that
his little
difference
brother back.
matters.
I think he would want you to have something warm for the road. Richard
He
lowered
wanted his little
eyes to the
brother
sweater.
back.
Grace,
And he would
I know
want you
last night
warm
did
for
not
the
fix
road.
everything. No, she said. It didn't. I will sign
Look,
the papers today.
I know last night
believe
didn't
you,
fix everything.
And I will return.
I promise I'll
Grace
sign the
studied him
papers,
for a moment.
and I promise I will
I want
return.
to believe that too. He
I
nodded.
want to believe you too.
Then I'll give you reason. Samuel
I
Carter
will give
stood
you
near
reason.
the waiting tow truck, giving the family space until Richard finally walked down the porch steps. At the vehicle, Richard turned back. Annie raised one hand. Grace stood beside her, and after a pause, did the same. As the tow truck pulled the SUV away, and Samuel Carter guided Richard toward the rental
This
car
way, sir.
arranged
We
at
have the rental
service
waiting.
station,
All right.
He asked
Thank you.
quietly, "Do you regret what you did last night, sir?" Richard looked at Daniel's sweater folded on his lap and the piece of flannel inside his hand.
Do you regret what happened
Only
last
that I
night?
did not do it while my brother was alive. By noon, Richard was seated in his attorney's Chicago office. He signed
My
every
only
page
regret
placed
is not
before him.
acting while his
By
brother was
afternoon,
alive.
The legal transfer of his interest in the Haven Ridge property was moving toward the county recorder, and Victor Lang had called the board vote Richard knew was coming. For the first time in 30 years, Richard did not measure the day.
The
by what he
documents
might
are fully
lose.
executed.
Before leaving
We'll proceed with the
office,
county
he
filing
opened
first
his
thing in the
calendar
morning.
and entered one appointment for the following Sunday. Dinner with Grace and Annie Haven Ridge. He saved it, slipped Daniel's flannel square into his wallet, and understood that a promise was not proved by saying it once. It was proved by returning. 1 week later, Richard drove back to Haven Ridge alone. The rain was gone, but the fields beside the county road still carried shallow pools of gray water. His black SUV had been repaired and cleaned, though a faint line of dried mud remained near the wheel well. He had considered asking someone to remove it, then decided not to. Some marks deserved to stay visible for a while. On the passenger seat lay an apple pie in a cardboard bakery box, a folder prepared by his attorney, and 2 study guides for nursing program entrance exams.
I missed
Daniel's
you, you
folded
know?
gray sweater
I missed you
rested
too,
in a garment
kiddo.
bag behind him.
Thanks
Richard
for the
had worn
pie.
it twice in Chicago, once while signing the property documents and once when he could not sleep. He had not told anyone. Grace's house appeared beyond the bend in the road. The patched tarp still covered one corner of the porch roof, but the yard had dried enough for Annie to rake wet leaves into small piles beneath the maple tree. She saw the SUV and stopped with the rake in her hands. For a moment, Richard wondered whether he should have called again that morning, whether a week was too soon, whether returning with legal papers and pie still looked too much like a man trying to purchase a place at the table. Then Annie smiled and ran toward the driveway.
Hi, Richard.
He came back.
Oh,
Richard
I
stepped
missed you
out,
so
reaching
much,
for the pie
Annie.
box before she could throw
Look
her
at
arms
you.
around
It's
him.
wonderful to
I said
see
I would.
you.
She
Careful
hugged
with the
him
pie
anyway,
there.
careful of the box.
It's,
Mom said
good to
you
see
might
you,
be too
Annie.
busy.
I
Your
missed
mother is
you.
entitled to doubt me. She is in the kitchen.
I missed you, you know?
Annie leaned
I
toward
missed
the
you
pie.
too, kiddo.
Is that from Miller's
Thanks for
Bakery?
the pie.
It is. That will help your case. Richard laughed.
My mother thought
a
you might
sound
be
that
too
felt
busy.
unfamiliar but not unwelcome.
Grace is
appeared behind the
entitled to
screen
doubt
door,
me.
wiping her hands on a dish towel. She looked at Richard, then at Annie's arm still around
Is that
him.
from Miller's Bakery?
Her expression
it
softened
is.
for a second before caution returned. Hello, Richard.
It is from
Hello,
Miller's
Grace.
Bakery.
He took the folder from the passenger seat and walked toward the porch.
Well, that should help
Before
your
anything
case,
else,
then.
This belongs to you. She accepted it without inviting him inside. Her eyes moved over the first page, then the second. Richard waited while she read. My attorney confirmed it with the county recorder yesterday, he said. Every interest I held in the property has been transferred to you and Annie. The access claim
Before
is
anything
terminated.
else, Grace,
Whitmore Freight has
This
no
belongs
retained
to you.
rights, no easement, no option to reopen the project. Grace looked up. No conditions? None. And if your board removes you? They may. It does not change these papers.
my attorney
Annie
confirmed
came up
everything with
beside
the
her
county
mother,
recorder
trying to
yesterday.
read upside
Every
down.
interest I held in the
Grace
property has
handed
been
the folder
transferred to
her,
Grace and Annie.
and looked at Richard again.
Are you saying there are no
Thank you,
conditions
she
at
said.
all?
There are
Richard
none,
nodded.
Grace.
I know that does not
Even if
settle
the board
everything.
removes me.
No, she said. It doesn't. Annie looked
Thank you,
between
Richard.
them, then
We
reached for
appreciate
the
you
pie
handling
box.
this for us.
But it does mean we should not let this get cold on the porch. Grace exhaled.
I suppose the papers
almost
don't settle
amused.
everything.
She
No,
opened
they
the screen
don't.
door wider. Come
Well,
in.
we shouldn't let this
The
pie
coffee
get
is
cold
fresh.
out here on the
that
porch.
Sunday became another.
Come on in,
then
Richard.
another.
Coffee's ready.
Thank you,
Richard
Grace.
stopped
That sounds
arriving
real
with
good.
documents. He learned to bring ordinary things instead. Coffee beans Grace liked.
thought you might like
a new
these.
porch bulb after
They're from the
Annie
farm
mentioned
stand.
The old one flickered. A bag of apples from
Thank
a
you,
farm
Richard.
stand,
They look
because
great.
Daniel had once insisted pie
The local
tasted
roofer
better when
sounds
the
perfect,
apples came
Grace.
from nearby.
I've included the
He
full
did not
amount here
offer
for
to
the
replace
materials
the
and
house.
labor.
That's very
He asked
kind.
before
We'll make sure it's
hiring a
put to good
roofer
use.
repair the porch properly.
You're going too
When
deep.
Grace
Use
chose
the
a
edge,
local
not the
man
middle.
from
Oh,
church
right,
instead
sorry.
of
Like
Richard's
this?
contractor
Much better.
from Chicago, he paid
Just
only
watch your
after
fingers.
she allowed it, and the receipt stayed in her name. At Thanksgiving, he arrived early enough to peel potatoes. He cut them too large, and Grace handed him the knife again without ceremony. Smaller, she said. I run a national company, and yet the potato remains undefeated. Annie laughed from the table, where she was filling out the last pages of her nursing school application. Richard looked at the 3 place settings already prepared, and then at the 4th plate Grace took from the cabinet. A framed photograph of Daniel stood on the sideboard beside a small candle. No one pretended the holiday was
I know I was
complete
late,
without
Daniel.
him. They simply made room for grief
But I'm
without
coming back
allowing
now.
it to take every chair. After dinner, Richard went with Grace and Annie to the cemetery. He stood before Daniel's stone while cold wind moved through the bare trees. Grace and
Well,
Annie
my
walked
mother
a
is a
short
nurse,
distance away,
and seeing the impact she
leaving her
has really
alone.
inspired me.
Richard placed one hand
I'm
in
hoping
his
to
coat
specialize in
pocket, touching the
pediatrics
small square
eventually.
of flannel he still
I got
carried
in,
his
Richard.
wallet.
I got into
"I
the
was late,"
program.
he said quietly.
Are
"I
you
know that."
serious?
He
That's
swallowed,
amazing.
"But I'm
I
coming
knew you
back
could
now."
do it.
As often as they'll have
Annie,
me. When he returned to the
your
car,
father would be
Grace did not
incredibly
ask what
proud
he
of
had
you.
said. She only handed him a paper
He
cup
really
of coffee
would.
from the thermos she had brought. Months passed in smaller acts. Richard attended Annie's interview preparation dinner and let her answer her own questions rather than trying to coach her into sounding like someone in a boardroom. When the acceptance letter arrived from the community college nursing program, Annie called him before he left his office. "I got in," she said breathless. Richard stood so quickly his chair rolled backward. "You got in?" "I got in." He closed his eyes, smiling toward the city windows. "Your father would be so proud of you." There was a brief silence on the line. "I think he knows," Annie said. A year after the storm, rain returned to Haven Ridge in a gentler form. It fell steadily
soaked.
across the fields and tapped against a porch roof that
Come
no
here, get
longer
under the
leaked.
umbrella.
Beside
Thanks,
the maple
Annie.
tree
This
stood a
rain
young
is
oak Grace
relentless.
and Annie had planted in Daniel's memory. Richard turned into the driveway late
Would
that
you like to come
afternoon,
inside?
alone as
Get out
usual
of the
now.
rain?
On the seat beside him was a casserole he had made himself. One corner was darker than it should have been, but Annie had told him bringing food mattered more than presenting it like a magazine photograph. He had not worn a suit. Beneath his raincoat was Daniel's gray sweater. Before he reached the porch, the screen door opened.
This time
and
he
Annie
came
stepped
because he
out.
wanted to
She
come
was wearing a
inside,
collared sweatshirt
not
and
because his
holding an
car was
umbrella,
broken.
her smile already visible through the rain. "Uncle, would you like to
Grace
come into my
made
house
soup
to get
and
out
your
of the
casserole
rain?"
needs help.
Richard stopped on the walkway.
My
A year
casserole is
earlier,
excellent.
he had
Thank
stood
you
in a
very
storm
much.
with a locked vehicle behind him.
All right,
trying to
I heard the
persuade
joke.
himself he needed no one. Now
You
the
were
car was
supposed
running
to. It was
perfectly.
loud enough.
There was no meeting waiting to pull him away. No excuse he needed
Richard,
to hide behind.
don't forget the
He
shoes
looked
by the
past
mat.
Annie
Yes,
to Grace,
dear. Right away.
who stood in the kitchen doorway. She met his eyes,
Richard?
then reached into the
It's
cabinet
so good to see you.
and
Come
placed another
inside.
plate
We
on the
saved you a
table.
spot right
Richard
here.
smiled.
The
This
soup is
time,
hot?
he said. "I came because I wanted to come inside, not because my car was broken." Annie opened the umbrella over both of them and took the casserole from his hands. "Good. Because Mom made soup. And I don't think your casserole can survive without help." "I heard that," Richard said. "You were supposed to." Grace held the door as they came in. "Shoes by the mat, Richard." "Yes, ma'am." He stepped inside, carrying rain on his shoulders and warmth already waiting for him. On the living room wall hung a new photograph, Grace and Annie beside the young oak, Richard standing with them in Daniel's sweater. Daniel could not be returned by a deed, an apology, or a year of Sunday dinners, but the love he had left behind had kept a door open long enough for his brother to find the courage to walk through it. And this time,
You
Richard
cannot
knew
buy
enough to stay.
forgiveness, Richard.
This story
I
reminds
require
us that success
honesty
means
shown
little
through
if it
repeated
costs us the
action
people
before
who
we
once
move
loved us
forward.
most. Richard believed
Did you
money,
try the casserole,
land,
Richard?
and power could protect
My
him,
grandmother
but
made it.
only when he faced the pain he had caused did he
It's
begin
delicious,
to find his
Annie.
way home.
Just like I
Annie's
remember.
kindness shows that compassion does not erase the past. It opens a door for change. Grace's strength teaches us that forgiveness should never be bought, only earned through honesty and consistent action. In the end, family is not restored by grand promises, but by the courage to apologize, make things right, and keep coming back. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.